Chapter 2753. Consider yourself lucky. I wish you good business. Lin Moyu examined the items on the stall. They were all materials and their quality was quite good. He casually asked about the prices of a few items, and they weren't cheap. For the same price, one could buy better materials from the Lufeng Merchant Guild. After a few inquiries, Lin Moyu noticed that the prices were inconsistent. Some high-quality materials were priced low, while some less valuable items were priced high. After several inquiries, Lin Moyu confirmed that this fellow Taoist didn't really know the value of his items. During his inquiries, Lin Moyu discreetly asked about the price of the material that seemed to have spiritual properties. The seller quoted 100 third-grade premium origin crystals, which wasn't very high. Lin Moyu picked up a few materials, including the one with suspected spiritual properties.
I'll take these items. According to your prices, it's a total of 530 third-grade premium origin crystals, right?
The mid-level Dao sovereign nodded.
That's correct.
Without hesitation, Lin Moyu paid the amount. Having just completed a transaction with the third ancestor, this amount felt insignificant to Lin Moyu. However, to the seller, 530 third-grade premium origin crystals was a significant sum. He held the origin crystals in disbelief.
You're not going to haggle?
Lin Moyu smiled.
No haggling. Watching you two argue was like paying for a ticket. Wait a minute.
Suddenly, a voice called out, and a person walked over quickly. The newcomer was a Dao sovereign, looking young and exuding a powerful aura. His eyes fixed on the materials in Lin Moyu's hands.
I want those materials. Name your price.
It was unclear whom he was addressing. Lin Moyu ignored him and put the materials into his storage space. The young Dao sovereign's eyes narrowed.
Didn't you hear what I said?
Lin Moyu chuckled.
What did you say? Sorry, I didn't hear you. You.
The young Dao sovereign's face changed, anger rising. At this moment, Lu Fengyao stepped in front of Lin Moyu.
What do you want to do?
Seeing Lu Fengyao, the young Dao sovereign noticed she was also a Dao sovereign, and his anger subsided. However, he still maintained an arrogant demeanor.
Who are you to him? I want to buy his materials.
Before he could finish, both Lu Fengyao and Lin Moyu said in unison,
Not for sale.
After saying this, they exchanged smiles, showing their tacit understanding. The young Dao sovereign's anger flared again.
Do you know who I am?
Lu Fengyao was even more forceful.
It doesn't matter who you are. Even if you're the master of a holy land, you must follow the rules of the mall here. If you don't understand, go ask your elders how to behave in the mall.
Lu Fengyao's tone was like scolding a servant, her powerful aura making her seem like the mistress of the place, looking down on him. Usually, Lu Fengyao was just noble, but once she displayed her aura, she was a true superior. To be precise, the Lufeng Merchant Guild was grooming Lu Fengyao as a superior. The young Dao sovereign was suppressed by Lu Fengyao's forcefulness, his face turning red, his fists clenched tightly, and the air crackled with tension. At this moment, a faint rumble of thunder echoed in the air, indicating the mall's array was active. Lin Moyu knew Lu Lian had noticed the situation. In the end, the young Dao sovereign didn't make a move. Gritting his teeth, he said,
Fine, remember this. Don't let me catch you outside the mall.
With that, he left in anger, disappearing quickly. Such incidents were common in the free market, attracting little attention. The free market had existed for countless years, and all sorts of dramatic events had already occurred. The veterans here were no longer interested in such spectacles. Only if someone actually started a fight would it become interesting. Lu Fengyao said,
That person should be one of the prodigies attending the upcoming gathering.
Lin Moyu smiled.
He kept calling himself young master, so he must be a successor groomed by some force. His strength is indeed impressive, becoming a Dao sovereign at such a young age. Luckily, you were here, Sister Fengyao. Otherwise, I wouldn't know how to handle it.
Lu Fengyao rolled her eyes at Lin Moyu. Knowing he was just being polite, She knew very well what Lin Moyu was capable of. Before becoming a heavenly sovereign, he could already defeat heavenly sovereigns, leaving many high-level heavenly sovereigns speechless. Now, as a mid-level heavenly sovereign, it was hard to say if he could handle a Dao sovereign. Suddenly, Lu Fengyao realized something. When she first met Lin Moyu in the Sea of Realms, it hadn't even been 300 years. In such a short time, Lin Moyu not only became a heavenly sovereign but also a mid-level heavenly sovereign. Calculating his age, Lin Moyu was not yet 3,000 years old, possibly not even 2,500. A heavenly sovereign at this age was enough to suppress those prodigies. Lu Fengyao even thought Lin Moyu might become a Dao sovereign before turning 4,000. A Dao sovereign within 5,000 years was almost unheard of in the history of the origin continent. Lin Moyu watched the direction the young Dao sovereign disappeared, his eyes filled with caution. He wasn't wary of the opponent's strength or realm. A first-realm Dao sovereign was insignificant. He was cautious of the opponent's spiritual sense, as the person was clearly after the spiritual material. The opponent's strong spiritual sense indicated a powerful soul and exceptional cultivation talent.
I wonder if he sensed the spiritual material through his spiritual sense or some other means. If it's through spiritual sense, I must be cautious. Such people are not to be underestimated.
Lu Fengyao said,
Don't mind such people. Let me show you around the market. There are some unspoken rules you might want to know.
Lin Moyu smiled.
I'm all ears.
They chatted as they wandered through the market. The two heavenly sovereigns who had been arguing earlier were left staring at each other. The mid-level heavenly sovereign who had lost the argument suddenly grinned.
Sorry, I can stay for another 10 days.
With Lin Moyu's purchase, he indeed could stay for another 10 days. This was a rule set by the Lu Feng Merchant Guild and had to be followed. Time was controlled by Lu Lian, and there would be no mistakes. A countdown timer projected beside the stall, which was about to run out, now had a new balance. The high-level heavenly sovereign who had won the argument didn't dare to get angry. Lu Fengyao's aura had stunned him, and he couldn't recover for a long time. Only after Lu Fengyao disappeared did he breathe a sigh of relief, glaring at the other.
Consider yourself lucky. I wish you good business.
With that, he dove into the free market to find a new stall. In the free market, even finding a stall location was up to oneself, truly embodying the spirit of freedom. Lu Fengyao led Lin Moyu around the market, explaining some of the unspoken rules. Lin Moyu looked at the various stalls, feeling the items, and listened to Lu Fengyao. Sometimes, when he saw something useful, he would stop to ask the price and buy a few items. Not necessarily for himself, but for the people of Yudao City. After all, it was his own force, and even a hands-off leader had to show some care. 2754, 2754. Chapter 2754. The War on Panlong Island. Lu Fengyao was puzzled.
Why are you buying so many random things?
Lin Moyu replied,
I established a small force in the eastern continent.
Lu Fengyao's eyes sparkled with surprise.
You actually established your own force?
Lin Moyu nodded.
Yes.
Lu Fengyao gave a thumbs up.
I didn't expect you to have such high ambitions, Lin. What level do you plan to develop your force to?
Lin Moyu shook his head lightly.
I don't know. I'll take it one step at a time. But everyone needs a goal, right?
Lu Fengyao agreed.
Indeed. To reach greater heights, there are only a few ways. But the way you've chosen will be very tough.
Lin Moyu didn't mind.
I'll go as far as I can.
For cultivators, the higher they go, the more they need fortune. It's not just about effort. Without fortune, at best, one might achieve half the results with twice the effort, and after thousands of years, gain nothing. At worst, one might die and disappear. Fortune plays a role in the unseen, affecting one's thoughts and leading to wrong choices. After reaching the sixth realm of Dao Sovereign, the role of fortune becomes even more prominent. At that point, most rogue cultivators almost lose the possibility of advancing further. Only those born with great fortune have a chance to advance further. At this time, one needs to find ways to gain more fortune. An origin spirit vein can suppress fortune, gather fortune, and establish a powerful force above it, gathering a large amount of fortune and clearing the path forward. Some people exhaust their potential and can't advance their realm. Not only do they fail to provide fortune, but they also consume the fortune of their force. Such people are ruthlessly abandoned, which is why the third ancestor said those old guys are ruthless. Thinking carefully, one can't entirely blame them. After all, everyone wants to advance, and if you block my path, I'll naturally find a way to remove you. The longer one lives, the less they want to die, and the more ruthless they become. Establishing a force is one way, but there are other ways. For example, using secret methods to devour others' fortune. After finding an origin spirit vein, instead of establishing a force, one can choose to merge the origin spirit vein into oneself, gaining the fortune contained in the vein. Or one can seek various treasures that can enhance fortune. There are many methods, and Lin Moyu chose the most stable one. Lu Fengyao naturally understood the inside story and could see through Lin Moyu's approach. She said softly,
"With your talent, you could also choose to join a top force and gain a large amount of fortune."
Lin Moyu shook his head.
"That would mean being controlled by others. I value my freedom too much."
Lu Fengyao sighed.
"All right, then I can only wish you good luck. Establishing a force carries great risks, especially in the Eastern continent."
Lin Moyu smiled.
"If others can do it, I believe I can too."
Lu Fengyao understood his implication. Over the years, only the Lu Feng Merchant Guild had truly managed to establish a long-term foothold in the Eastern continent. Lu Fengyao's eyes brightened.
"Actually, there's another way to gain a lot of fortune."
Lin Moyu asked.
"What way?"
Lu Fengyao's eyes turned sharp.
"Go to the battlefield between humans and demons."
Lin Moyu was slightly stunned. He knew that humans and demons were not on good terms and often had conflicts, especially with some demon clans looking down on humans. But he didn't know that humans and demons were actually at war. Small-scale conflicts and wars are two different concepts, fundamentally different in nature. Lu Fengyao explained.
"The major human forces in the southern continent and the various demon clans have accumulated too much hatred and conflict over countless years. The hatred has deepened over countless years, and eventually, the major forces in the southern continent united to form an army. The demon clans did the same, forming their own army. The two sides have been at war for countless years."
Lu Fengyao mentioned.
"Countless years."
Many times, indicating that the war had been going on for so long that it was impossible to pinpoint the exact time. Lin Moyu asked.
"Why does going to war gain fortune?"
Lu Fengyao continued.
"In the army, there's a secret method. As long as you kill demons, you can gain fortune from them. So that's it, plundering fortune from demons. In this way, all forces would likely send people to participate. And this method is essentially no different from the Eastern Spirit Empire's attacks. Both are about killing for fortune."
Lin Moyu asked.
"Where is the battlefield?"
Lu Fengyao replied.
"In the north of the southern continent, south of the northern continent, on an island called Panlong Island in the Sea of Realms. There are several origin spirit veins on this island, and the battlefield is on it. The origin spirit veins make the island's terrain solid, and Panlong Island is large enough for cultivators to fight. It seems that the humans and demons have reached an agreement with the Sea Clan, and both sides have fixed routes to Panlong Island."
The war between the two sides, apart from the conflict, is also about seizing each other's fortune and the origin spirit veins on Panlong Island, achieving multiple goals. Lin Moyu found it strange.
"Why does an island have so many origin spirit veins?"
Lu Fengyao said.
"I don't know. It's said to be related to the king of the Sea of Realms. Moreover, there's a legend that Panlong Island has a 9th grade origin spirit vein, but it has never been found. Many people go there for this 9th grade origin spirit vein."
A 9th grade origin spirit vein is a top-tier origin spirit vein, extremely valuable. In the history of the origin continent, ninth-grade origin spirit veins have appeared only a few times. Several top forces are trying to upgrade their origin spirit veins to the ninth grade, but none have succeeded so far. If the Thunder Taoist had obtained a ninth-grade origin spirit vein back then, he might have broken through the Tao Sovereign bottleneck. Lin Moyu thought to himself,
If there's really a ninth-grade origin spirit vein, it must be contested.
Lin Moyu became interested in Panlong Island and thought he might go there in the future, but not now. Lu Fengyao sighed.
So, there are many paths to the top. It depends on how you choose. Currently, establishing your own force is a good method. Although it's difficult, it's at least stable.
Her words aligned with Lin Moyu's thoughts. They chatted as they wandered through the free market. The free market was huge, and it would take several days to see everything. Lin Moyu bought various treasures and materials, spending a small amount of money, which was nothing to him. Unfortunately, after the initial lucky find, he didn't encounter any more opportunities. However, another cursing match took place, this time between a customer and a stall owner, ending with the customer winning. After wandering for most of the day, the world tree suddenly stirred. Lin Moyu heard the world tree's intermittent voice.
Spirit vein, remnants.
Lin Moyu's heart moved. There were remnants of a spirit vein here. His spiritual sense hadn't detected it, and the world tree couldn't pinpoint its location. Without the devouring mouse, he could only search item by item. Lin Moyu communicated with the world tree.
Try to find the direction.
2755, 2755. Chapter 2755. Often unreliable, depends on luck. Lin Moyu activated his rule world, allowing the world tree to sense more clearly. Unfortunately, the world tree still couldn't accurately pinpoint the location. For now, he had to resort to some rudimentary methods. Lin Moyu randomly chose a direction and walked quickly. After less than 100 meters, the world tree sent a signal that its sensing had weakened. Weakened sensing meant the direction was wrong. Lin Moyu then retreated and tried another direction. If it was wrong, he would retreat and try again, repeating this process multiple times. Lu Fengyao followed Lin Moyu, moving back and forth, puzzled.
What are you doing?
Lin Moyu replied,
I'm looking for something.
Lu Fengyao was even more puzzled.
You're looking for something this way?
Lin Moyu nodded.
Yes.
He didn't explain further, and Lu Fengyao could only choose to believe him, continuing to follow him back and forth. The free market was vast and complex, with intricate internal routes. After trying more than 10 times, Lin Moyu finally found the right path. After walking a few hundred meters and passing dozens of stalls, Lin Moyu finally locked onto a stall. The owner of this stall was a Tao sovereign, selling various rare ores. Lu Fengyao whispered in Lin Moyu's ear.
He's a second-realm Tao sovereign.
Lin Moyu could sense that the person was a Tao sovereign, but without activating the Eye of the Undead, he couldn't determine the exact realm. Unlike Lu Fengyao, who could see it at a glance. Just as Lin Moyu was about to approach, he suddenly stopped and took out the red scarf, wrapping it around his forehead. Once activated, the red scarf disappeared, and at that moment, the Sun origin and Tai-In origin began to alternate. Seeing Lin Moyu's actions, Lu Fengyao looked puzzled but said nothing. The red scarf concealed the Tai-In symbol, and Lin Moyu was enveloped in a faint glow. Under the Sun origin's light, the faint glow wasn't noticeable. But now, with the Tai-In origin out, the surroundings darkened, and the faint glow around Lin Moyu became apparent. This was also a drawback of the divine light wood. It couldn't completely hide the divine light, and many perceptive people could clearly see that Lin Moyu was using the divine light wood. Concealing his aura, Lin Moyu approached the stall and greeted the owner.
Greetings, senior.
The second realm Tao sovereign stall owner sat with his eyes closed, ignoring Lin Moyu, appearing somewhat arrogant. After a few seconds, he finally uttered a few words.
Look for yourself.
Lin Moyu smiled slightly, not minding. There were all kinds of people in the world, and many had peculiar temperaments. If he took offense at everything, he would only be troubling himself. The stall was scattered with over 100 ores. These ores emitted a strong origin power, each being good refining materials. The worst were excellent materials for heavenly sovereigns, and a few were even suitable for Tao sovereigns. Lin Moyu picked up one ore, sensed it, and then put it down. Seeing that his actions didn't provoke the stall owner's displeasure, he continued. Throughout the day, he had encountered many stall owners. Some only allowed looking, not touching, while others were more enthusiastic, allowing free examination. This Tao sovereign remained indifferent, letting Lin Moyu examine as he pleased. Lin Moyu wasn't in a hurry, examining each item one by one. The origin power contained in these materials was strong. Without picking them up and sensing them carefully, it was impossible to distinguish which one contained the remnants of an origin spirit vein. It seemed like Lin Moyu was sensing, but it was actually the world tree doing the sensing. The world tree extended a tiny tendril from the rule world, sticking to Lin Moyu's skin and using his hand to examine the materials. One by one, the stall owner showed no impatience, and Lin Moyu remained silent throughout, making the scene somewhat eerie. The seller was strange, and so was the buyer. Finally, when Lin Moyu examined the 59th ore, the world tree trembled violently, sending a wave of excitement.
This is it, this is it.
The ore in his hand had a green hue, like a beautiful jade, but upon closer inspection, it was full of impurities. The world tree was slightly excited, but Lin Moyu remained calm, putting the ore down. He continued examining other ores one by one, just as before. Finally, at the 80th ore, a voice spoke.
Have you seen enough? Are you buying or not?
For a thrilling read, visit Feilu Novel Network. Lin Moyu replied,
I've picked a few, but I want to see if there are any more suitable ones to buy together.
The Tao sovereign slowly opened his eyes, which were deep and vast, making Lin Moyu feel like he was looking into the starry sky. The deep gaze swept over Lin Moyu.
You've picked a few, but can you afford them?
Lin Moyu smiled.
I think I can. How about I pick a few first?
He picked up 5 ores.
These 5, please name your price.
The Tao sovereign glanced at them and said casually,
The prices are clearly marked, see for yourself.
Only then did Lin Moyu notice a small sign behind the Tao sovereign, listing the prices. Each ore was priced at 200 third-grade premium origin crystals. Uniform prices for different materials. Lin Moyu understood that not everyone could clearly sense the quality of materials. Even some people in the Lu Feng Merchant Guild had to use special methods or extensive experience to judge. He relied on his strong spiritual sense to roughly determine the quality of materials. Among the 5 materials he picked, besides the one containing the remnants of the origin spirit vein, 2 were suitable for heavenly sovereigns, and 2 were suitable for Tao sovereigns. Now it seemed he had been overthinking.
Not a big deal.
Lin Moyu thought to himself, taking out a 6th grade premium origin crystal.
Can I use this to pay?
The Tao sovereign's eyes lit up.
No problem.
He quickly took the origin crystal from Lin Moyu, fearing he might change his mind. Lin Moyu simultaneously put the 5 ores into his storage space. The transaction was complete, and even if the seller wanted to back out, it was too late. This time, no one interrupted, and the transaction went smoothly. The Tao sovereign said,
All right, you can continue choosing.
Lin Moyu smiled, picked a few more materials, and left with a total of 10. These materials were all suitable for Tao sovereigns, making them worth the price. Leaving the trading market, Lu Fengyao couldn't help but ask,
What exactly were you looking for earlier?
From the back and forth searching to finally buying those materials, Lu Fengyao knew Lin Moyu must have been after something special. She hadn't asked before, but now she finally did. Lin Moyu didn't keep her in suspense.
A remnant of an origin spirit vein.
Lu Fengyao's eyes widened.
What do you need that for?
Before Lin Moyu could answer, Lu Fengyao already guessed.
I see, you want to feed it to your origin spirit vein.
Since Lin Moyu had established his own force, He must have an origin spirit vein. Lu Fengyao guessed that Lin Moyu's origin spirit vein wasn't very strong, so he needed remnants to nourish it. With such a good explanation, Lin Moyu didn't need to say more. Lu Fengyao continued,
But I'm curious, how did you find the remnant?
Lin Moyu smiled.
I have a strong spiritual sense, but it's often unreliable, depends on luck.
2756, 2756. Chapter 2756. Absorbing the remnants of the origin spirit vein. In the space where the third ancestor of the mall resided, a screen displayed Lin Moyu and Lu Fengyao's every move in the free market today. Their every word and action were clearly visible to the third ancestor. The third ancestor spoke softly.
Xiao Lian, what do you think?
Lu Lian's voice responded.
Lin Moyu and Miss Fengyao have a good relationship.
The third ancestor chuckled.
That's not what I'm asking. I want to know what you think of Lin Moyu as a person.
Lu Lian evaluated honestly.
Cautious, intelligent, extremely talented. As long as he can survive, his future achievements will be limitless.
The third ancestor laughed.
It seems Xiao Lian holds him in high regard. Now tell me, compared to Fengyao, who do you think will achieve more?
Lu Lian hesitated for a moment before speaking.
Based on my calculations, it's 50-50.
The third ancestor was slightly moved. This evaluation was even higher than before. Lu Fengyao was the guild's top priority, receiving unparalleled resources, training, and experience. Moreover, after becoming a Dao sovereign, her cultivation speed would only increase. Lu Lian was well aware of this, yet she still held such a high opinion of Lin Moyu. Lu Lian suddenly asked,
Third ancestor, what do you think?
The third ancestor laughed heartily.
What do I think? I'll just watch. At least this kid hasn't harbored any ill intentions towards Fengyao. He's passed the character test. Have you investigated the matter of the red scarf?
Lu Lian replied,
Yes, the red scarf ultimately belonged to the Cold Water Holy Land.
The third ancestor muttered,
Cold Water Holy Land, how did their item end up in his hands? What is his relationship with the Cold Water Holy Land?
After muttering to himself, the third ancestor continued,
Who is the current Holy Master of the Cold Water Holy Land? Bring up their information, along with their recent purchase records.
Lu Lian acknowledged and immediately pulled up the relevant data. The red scarf given to Lin Moyu by Gu Hanyu was actually called the Red Sun Scarf. Items containing the power of the sun origin were rare, and almost all of them passed through the Lu Feng Merchant Guild. When Lin Moyu took out the red scarf, the third ancestor already knew it came from a certain force. From this, he could deduce that Lin Moyu had some connection with that force. By following this lead, more information could be uncovered. After reviewing the data, the third ancestor muttered,
The current Holy Master of the Cold Water Holy Land is a young woman, under 20,000 years old, at the 6th realm of Dao Sovereign. In her youth, she became a Dao Sovereign at the age of 8,000, becoming a prodigy and nearly surpassing her peers to become a top figure. Her talent is only slightly inferior to Fengyao's. Whether she can break through the Dao Sovereign realm is uncertain, but she has a 50% chance of reaching the 9th realm of Dao Sovereign. The red sun scarf ended up in her hands and now in Lin Moyu's. Clearly, she gave it to him, knowing he is the son of Taiyin, to help him conceal his identity. But why did she give it to Lin Moyu? After knowing his identity, why didn't she react as expected?
The third ancestor couldn't understand the reasoning. Normally, Gu Hanyu should have captured Lin Moyu. If she couldn't capture him, she should have killed him, not helped him. The current situation didn't match the information about Gu Hanyu. Gu Hanyu was decisive and ruthless, earning the nickname
God of Killing.
While the third ancestor was puzzled, Lu Lian said,
Gu Hanyu once bought a connected branch from us.
The third ancestor was stunned for a moment, then laughed heartily.
So that's it. Now it all makes sense. No wonder Lin Moyu said he already had a wife. His wife is Gu Hanyu. This is too amusing, truly too amusing. I wonder how the elders of the Cold Water Holy Land will react when they find out their holy master is with a young man. Their expressions will be priceless.
While the third ancestor found it amusing, Lu Lian shivered.
Those elders will likely be very pleased. Lin Moyu is the son of Taiyin, bringing them immense fortune.
The third ancestor's laughter abruptly stopped. He had focused on Lin Moyu's cultivation but had forgotten his identity as the son of Taiyin. From this perspective, the Cold Water Holy Land had nothing to worry about. The third ancestor sighed.
It's not as amusing anymore. Living so long, why is it so hard to find some entertainment?
Back in the courtyard, Lin Moyu used the sunstone to replenish the origin power of the red sun scarf. Each sunstone could replenish the origin power of the red sun scarf multiple times. The sunstone itself could also be recharged by exposure to the sun origin. 10 sunstones were enough for Lin Moyu to use indefinitely. The limitation of the red sun scarf was thus removed, eliminating the last shortcoming of this treasure. Lin Moyu no longer had to worry about exposing his identity as the son of Taiyin. Sitting in the courtyard, Lin Moyu entered his soul world. He held the ore containing the remnants of the origin spirit vein and handed it to the world tree. The world tree extended its branches, enveloping the ore. A tremendous force erupted, shattering the ore, releasing a pure and powerful origin energy. The remnants of the origin spirit vein were hidden within the ore, making them hard to detect. Even Lin Moyu could only sense them upon direct contact. Only the world tree could sense the aura of the origin spirit vein remnants. Lin Moyu sighed.
It seems to be a 4th grade origin spirit vein, but its core is destroyed, and the vein is exhausted.
The reasons for the exhaustion of an origin spirit vein were varied, and the remnants alone couldn't reveal the cause. Lin Moyu didn't bother analyzing it. The last time the world tree absorbed a 2nd grade origin spirit vein remnant, it underwent significant changes, producing the Grand Emperor flower and world fruit. This time, absorbing a 4th grade origin spirit vein remnant should yield even more astonishing results.
Go ahead and eat.
Lin Moyu gently patted the world tree, conveying his intention. The world tree happily wrapped the origin spirit vein remnant and placed it at its roots. The origin energy was quickly absorbed, causing the entire world tree to tremble violently. The world tree grew rapidly, occupying more space in the soul world. Several branches broke through the barrier between the soul world and the larger world, entering the larger world. In Lin Moyu's rule world, there were 3 distinct layers. The upper layer was the larger world, where humans lived. The middle layer was his soul world, his core. The lower layer was the bone hell. The 3 regions were distinct, but the world tree had broken through this barrier, entering the upper layer. Lin Moyu didn't stop it. The entire larger world was under his control, and the world tree's entry wouldn't cause any issues. Even if someone discovered the world tree, it wouldn't matter. Flowers bloomed on the world tree, and world fruits began to mature, emitting a tempting fragrance. The world tree's sap flowed abundantly, forming a silver lake beneath it, creating a beautiful scene. 2757 2757. Chapter 2757. Feeling like a nouveau riche. Looking at the blooming spirit flowers and the ripening world fruits, Lin Moyu smiled. He could feel that the power of the spirit flowers had increased, and their effect should have also enhanced, although they hadn't undergone a qualitative change yet. The world fruits were the same, stronger than before but not yet reaching a qualitative transformation. The world tree was still in its growth phase and hadn't reached the next stage. Lin Moyu was very curious about how miraculous the world tree would be when it reached its peak. He believed that day would come and was filled with anticipation. The biggest change this time was in the world tree's sap. Previously, the world tree's sap was as clear as water, just slightly more viscous than regular water. But this time, the sap flowing from the world tree was not only more viscous but also emitted a silver glow. The silver glow seemed to have a special magic, making it hard to look away once noticed. The previously secreted world tree sap had already formed a lake, and now a large amount of new sap flowed out, falling into the lake beneath the tree. The originally clear lake was now tinged with a silver glow. The scale of the lake was shrinking, but its quality was improving. The world tree sap flowed for a full half-hour before stopping. By then, the lake size had shrunk by at least half, and Lin Moyu knew that the effectiveness of the world tree sap had greatly increased. Apart from the sap, the leaves of the world tree had also undergone a qualitative change. Some of the emerald green leaves were now tinged with a silver glow, similar to the world tree sap. Faintly, Lin Moyu felt that these leaves seemed to possess a trace of spirituality. However, upon closer inspection, this trace of spirituality disappeared, as if it were just an illusion.
I must be overthinking. Spiritual materials. If the world tree's leaves became spiritual materials, wouldn't I be rich?
Lin Moyu laughed at his own wishful thinking. Such fantastical things were unlikely to happen. Once the changes in the world tree stopped, Lin Moyu eagerly checked the attribute changes of the world tree. World tree, growth phase. Ability 1, rebirth asterisk. When receiving fatal damage, the user will be reborn, instantly recovering to peak condition, and all skills will have their cooldowns reset. This can be triggered continuously 7 times within 20 seconds. Afterward, this ability will enter a cooldown period. Ability 2, fruit asterisk. The world tree will produce world fruits. Consuming a world fruit can create a rule world. For those who already have a rule world, consuming it can enhance their rule world. Consumption requirement. Beyond realm. Ability 3, spirit flower asterisk. The mature spirit flowers can heal any injury. If used by members of the undead army, it can grant them intelligence. Ability 4, leaves asterisk. The leaves of the world tree are excellent refining materials. Some mutated leaves may evolve spirituality, becoming spiritual materials. Ability 5, silver sap asterisk. The silver sap can greatly enhance cultivation speed. Consuming it during cultivation can increase the speed by 1 to 10 times. Long-term consumption can significantly improve the integration with the Great Tao and enhance cultivation aptitude. Daily production, 1,000 drops. Lin Moyu murmured to himself.
Indeed, it's stronger than before, but it's still in the growth phase and hasn't reached the next stage. The rebirth ability's trigger count increased from 6 to 7, which is an enhancement but not a fundamental change. The world fruits and spirit flowers are the same, stronger than before but not qualitatively different. The biggest changes are in the leaves and sap. Some leaves have mutated, and these silver leaves indeed possess a trace of spirituality. But they are still evolving, and this trace of spirituality is not enough. They need to continue evolving to eventually become spiritual materials.
Lin Moyu hadn't expected that the leaves of the world tree could potentially evolve into spiritual materials. This was an astonishing thought, as the world tree's wonders far exceeded his imagination. With spiritual materials, the infinite fusion ability could be continuously strengthened, becoming ever more powerful. Once this positive cycle began, Lin Moyu felt his future path would be bright. Suppressing his soul-deep excitement, he looked at the sap that had also undergone a qualitative change. Silver sap asterisk. The silver sap can greatly enhance cultivation speed. Depending on the user's aptitude, the enhancement can range from 1 to 10 times. Additionally, long-term consumption can improve cultivation aptitude and the integration with the Great Tao. The higher the integration with the Great Tao, the more Great Tao laws one can mobilize with each bit of power. At the same realm, a Tao sovereign with higher Great Tao integration often has stronger combat power.
Previously, the sap wasn't very useful to me, but now it's different. The silver sap surpasses all kinds of auxiliary cultivation treasures and spiritual foods.
The world tree, as the foundation of his talent, played an unimaginably significant role. For some reason, Lin Moyu thought of the system that had disappeared for many years. Back then, the system had helped him obtain 3 talent flames, playing a significant role. It had also saved him once after it left. Since then, the system hadn't appeared again, and Lin Moyu occasionally missed it.
If you're still around, maybe one day we'll meet again.
Lin Moyu took a deep breath and brought out the spiritual material he had purchased. It seemed like a spiritual material, but he wasn't sure. He picked up the scourge staff and lightly tapped it a few times. As expected, the surface of the material cracked, and a faint trace of spirituality emerged. The surface was like a layer of skin covering a beautiful jade. Once the skin was removed, the true beauty of the jade was revealed. Infinite fusion suddenly flew down, appearing in front of Lin Moyu in an instant.
I want to eat.
It had sensed the spiritual material, just as the world tree had sensed the remnants of the origin spirit vein. Once Lin Moyu confirmed it was indeed a spiritual material, he didn't bother to check its grade. Knowing it wouldn't change the outcome, he decided to let Infinite Fusion consume it immediately. Infinite Fusion devoured the spiritual material in one bite, then contentedly flew back to slowly digest it.
I feel like a nouveau riche.
Lin Moyu muttered to himself, having fed two entities and then checked on the Lingshu insect beast mother and child. They were also happily eating. As origin spirit beasts, their deepest instinct was to consume origin crystals and continuously evolve. It had been decades since their last evolution. In these decades, they had consumed many origin crystals, but the next evolution was still far off. The evolution of origin spirit beasts often took thousands or tens of thousands of years. Even with Lin Moyu's unlimited supply of high-grade origin crystals, it would still take considerable time. Lin Moyu wasn't in a hurry. The advancement of the origin spirit vein was inherently difficult and needed to be taken step by step. Finally, Lin Moyu visited the human emperor, who was still absorbing and organizing the vast amount of information Lin Moyu had provided. Only a portion had been sorted out, and there was still a long way to go. Returning to reality and looking at the Tai-In origin still hanging high in the sky, Lin Moyu took out a drop of silver sap to test its effect. 2758. 2758. Chapter 2758. Prepare some sunflower seeds to avoid boredom. The silver tree sap entered his mouth and exploded, sending a magical force directly to his soul. Lin Moyu felt that in an instant, his soul was sublimated, as if he had left this world and entered another dimension. In this dimension, countless great Daos appeared before him, endless and innumerable. It felt as though these great Daos were within reach, yet they were incredibly distant, completely untouchable. Then, three great Daos appeared clearly before him. Immortality, time, and space. These three great Daos became distinct, and Lin Moyu felt closer to them than ever before. He knew this was the effect of the silver tree sap, and he immediately seized the opportunity to begin comprehending the great Daos. The profound truths of the great Daos surged towards him. If the insights gained from cultivating with the Tai-In and Sun origins were like small streams, and cultivating with the origin spirit vein was like crossing a small river, then adding various spiritual foods and treasures would turn the small river into a large river. But now, the large river was no longer sufficient to describe the torrent of great Tao insights. It was more like a surging ocean. Lin Moyu felt his cultivation speed increase tenfold, reaching the upper limit of the silver tree sap. If he could return to the origin spirit vein and use the silver tree sap, his cultivation speed might turn into a tsunami. The accelerated cultivation speed not only saved time but also broke through bottlenecks. It wasn't until he heard knocking at the door again that Lin Moyu woke up from his cultivation. Through the array, Lin Moyu saw that it was Lu Fengyao. At this time, the Tai-In origin was high in the sky, and the Tai-In symbol on Lin Moyu's forehead was glowing. Since Lu Fengyao knew he was the son of Tai-In, he didn't need to hide it from her. Lin Moyu smiled.
Sister Fengyao, where are you taking me today?
Lu Fengyao, slightly annoyed, said,
What did I tell you that day? I told you to wait for me here the next day, and you went straight into seclusion for 10 days.
Lin Moyu was taken aback.
I cultivated for 10 days?
He hadn't realized that he had been cultivating for 10 days. The effect of a single drop of silver tree sap lasted for 10 days. Lin Moyu felt a bit embarrassed.
I lost track of time while cultivating. Why didn't you come to wake me up, Sister Fengyao?
Lu Fengyao said,
Lu Lian told me not to disturb you. Since it wasn't urgent, I didn't come to wake you. But the prodigy gathering is tomorrow, and if you didn't wake up, I had to come and get you.
Lin Moyu smiled.
Good thing I didn't miss it. It would be a shame to miss such a rare opportunity.
Lu Fengyao said.
It seems you're quite interested in those prodigies.
Lin Moyu replied.
As a cultivator who considers himself talented, I naturally want to see the prodigies of this era.
Lu Fengyao sighed.
I hope there's someone who can satisfy you. But with your standards, you might be disappointed.
Lin Moyu smiled.
I'm just a small heavenly sovereign. It's already an honor to attend. I don't have high expectations.
Lu Fengyao snorted.
Once you become a Dao sovereign, those guys will be no match for you.
Lin Moyu smiled but didn't respond. He thought to himself,
if it comes to life and death, even if they all gang up on me, they wouldn't be enough.
That day, the mall was bustling. The once-in-a-millennium prodigy gathering was no secret. Many cultivators knew about it. Although most couldn't participate, it didn't stop them from gossiping. The participants of the prodigy gathering were all under 10,000 years old and had reached the Dao sovereign realm, truly the cream of the crop. Just this fact alone provided enough hype. Even before the prodigy gathering started, discussions filled every corner of the mall.
Time flies. Another 1,000 years have passed, and the prodigy gathering is upon us again. I wonder who will dominate this time and earn the title of the strongest prodigy. I remember last time, the title went to the Holy Son of the Illusory God sect. The Holy Son of the Illusory God sect reached the third realm of Dao Sovereign before 10,000 years old, so it's no surprise he won. But this time, he's over 10,000 and can't participate. I heard no one has reached the third realm of Dao Sovereign this time, so the competition will be fiercer. I also heard that Fairy Fengyao from the Lu Feng Merchant Guild has reached the Dao Sovereign realm and will participate. Unfortunately, Fairy Fengyao is only at the first realm of Dao Sovereign, and the prodigy gathering forbids the use of any treasures, focusing solely on cultivation. Fairy Fengyao's advantage isn't obvious. Fairy Fengyao is the heir groomed by the Lu Feng Merchant Guild. Reaching the first realm of Dao Sovereign before 7,000 years old is impressive. Even if she doesn't win this time, she will surely win in the future.
Discussions about Lu Fengyao were the most frequent. The Lu Feng Merchant Guild wasn't low-key. They had announced early on that Lu Fengyao, under 7,000 years old, had reached the Dao Sovereign realm, showcasing her extraordinary talent. Even if she didn't win this time, she had several more chances in the future. Lin Moyu heard these discussions on the way.
Sister Fengyao, is the title of the strongest prodigy important?
Lu Fengyao replied.
Important, but not that important. The prodigy gathering is a showcase for various forces to display their heirs and for the prodigies to see others and avoid arrogance. Those guys are very proud, thinking they're second only to the heavens and looking down on everyone.
Lu Fengyao's tone carried a hint of disdain, clearly looking down on those prodigies. Lin Moyu had a guess.
The title of the strongest prodigy is for fortune, right?
Lu Fengyao said.
Yes, it's for fortune. Although it's not much, it's still something. The fortune from the prodigy gathering is better than nothing.
Lu Fengyao didn't seem to realize the importance of fortune yet. She was only at the first realm of Dao Sovereign and had only a superficial understanding of fortune. But Lin Moyu, due to various reasons, was well aware of its importance. The strongest prodigy should gather a lot of fortune, so it couldn't be insignificant. However, Lu Fengyao wasn't wrong. The fortune she lost wasn't much, easily replenished, so it didn't matter much. But if everyone lost a bit of fortune, it would accumulate, and the one who gained the title of the strongest prodigy would benefit greatly. Lin Moyu asked,
How is the strongest prodigy determined at the prodigy gathering?
Lu Fengyao said,
It's complicated, with many rules. You'll see when the time comes. Just treat it as a show and watch those guys perform. You don't need to have any opinions, just enjoy it. By the way, you might want to prepare some sunflower seeds or snacks to avoid boredom.
2759 2759. Chapter 2759. Most people are like frogs in a well. According to Lu Fengyao, she had attended the prodigy gathering 3 times, but each time as an observer. Because this was the mall, her special status allowed her to participate without affecting the quota. The first time she observed, Lu Fengyao's realm was very low, only at the supreme level, and she couldn't understand the techniques of the Tao sovereigns. The second time, she had become a heavenly sovereign and could understand a bit more. By the third time, she was already a mid-level heavenly sovereign and could comprehend much more. However, she found all 3 times rather boring, far less interesting than the cursing matches in the free market. This was her 4th time, and she was no longer an observer but a participant. Having observed 3 times, she was very familiar with the prodigy gathering and lacked interest. If it weren't for the insistence of the elders in the guild, she wouldn't have bothered to come. Along the way, Lin Moyu heard many famous names. The current holy son of the cold water holy land, Gu Bichuan. The current holy maiden of the 7-star holy land, Kai Xia. The direct heir of the heavenly spirit sect, Guo Qingling. Each name represented a contemporary prodigy, all top figures in their respective major forces. Besides the heirs of the top forces, there were also heirs from slightly weaker forces, many of whom were also outstanding talents. Even if they weren't as top tier, they came with the attitude of broadening their horizons. Lin Moyu had the human emperor search for information on Gu Hanyu and found that she had also participated in the prodigy gathering in her time, dominating and winning the title of the strongest prodigy. This achievement solidified her position as the heir of the cold water holy land. The prodigy gathering wasn't as simple as Lu Fengyao thought. Countless eyes from top forces watched the prodigy gathering, observing their disciples' performances. Even as prodigies, if they performed too poorly, they could lose their status. Top forces never lacked talented heirs. Each generation had many vying for position. Only the truly outstanding could emerge victorious. For example, the winner of the last prodigy gathering, the holy son of the illusory god sect, had already established his position. Once he reached the 6th realm of Tao Sovereign, he could become the new holy master of the illusory god sect. Lu Fengyao led Lin Moyu into the venue of the prodigy gathering. The venue was set in a garden-like small square, with a circular lake in the center. Around the lake were seats, each marked with a name, and everyone had to sit in their designated spot. The seating arrangement subtly indicated each person's status. From this alone, it was clear that the prodigy gathering had many implicit rules. Lu Fengyao pointed to the largest and most special seat across the lake.
That seat is reserved for the one who wins the title of the strongest prodigy. Starting from the left of that seat, the order is left 1, right 1, left 2, right 2. The seating reflects status. The specific ranking is based on cultivation level and past performance.
Some participants had attended previous gatherings, so their past performance was also considered. Lin Moyu noticed that those in the front seats were mostly at the 2nd realm of Tao Sovereign. The difference between realms in Tao Sovereign was significant, making it hard for a 1st realm Tao Sovereign to defeat a 2nd realm one. For this reason, many believed Lu Fengyao had little chance this time. She would need to reach the 2nd realm of Tao Sovereign to have a chance at winning the title of the strongest prodigy. Lu Fengyao quickly found her seat, ranked 10th on the left side. As a newcomer, her position wasn't too bad. Behind Lu Fengyao was a smaller chair, prepared for someone like Lin Moyu. Lu Fengyao said,
"Take a seat. We arrived early, and others haven't come yet. Soon you'll see those self-important guys. By the way, the guy who gave you trouble in the free market should be here too. If there's a chance, I'll teach him a lesson and show him why the flowers are so red."
Lin Moyu smiled.
"Go easy on him."
Although he didn't know Lu Fengyao's strength, her confidence suggested she had the ability. She likely had all the information about that person's identity and deeds. After all, this was the mall, and Lu Fengyao was the biggest local authority here. Lin Moyu had a feeling that the guy was in for some trouble. Scanning the area, he saw there were 100 prodigy seats, meaning 100 prodigies. Each prodigy could bring one person, so there would be 200 people in total.
That's quite a lot of prodigies.
People often said there weren't many heavenly sovereigns under 10,000 years old, but seeing this, there were quite a few Tao sovereigns under 10,000 years old. It showed that most people's views were limited, like frogs in a well, seeing only a small part of the sky above them. Lin Moyu looked up at the sky, which was hazy, not the clear blue sky one would expect. He faintly sensed an array.
There's an array up there. Inside the array should be those who came to observe.
Only 100 prodigies could participate in the gathering, but there were many more observers. During the gathering, many Tao sovereigns would come to watch without participating. They would stay outside, observing the proceedings. Everything happening in the gathering would be visible to them. Lin Moyu was shrouded in divine light. Using the divine light would to conceal his information. How many people it could fool was uncertain. He had also activated the red sun scarf, using the sunstone to replenish its origin power. He didn't want his identity as the son of Tai Yin to be exposed, at least not yet. The third ancestor had warned that many old figures from various forces were shameless. Soon, people began arriving at the venue. The first to arrive was a young man at the first realm of Tao Sovereign, under 10,000 years old, exuding a youthful aura. Behind him was a beautiful woman, a high-level heavenly sovereign, stronger than Lin Moyu. The young man was polite to the woman, but she seemed somewhat aloof, as if she were the prodigy and he was just accompanying her. Lu Fengyao explained,
This is the senior disciple of the Six-Star Force Gale sect, Tao's sovereign Zifeng. Behind him is the only daughter of the Gale sect's leader, Fairy Linglan. Zifeng likes Fairy Linglan, but she doesn't seem interested in him. His talent is decent, but his temperament is average. Unless something changes, he won't achieve great things.
Lu Fengyao introduced them like she was reciting from a book. Lin Moyu knew this information must have come from Lu Lian. Zifeng's seat was ranked 40th on the right, much lower than Lu Fengyao's. Fairy Linglan seemed displeased, clearly unhappy with the seating arrangement. She looked at Lu Fengyao as if questioning why they were both first-realm Tao sovereigns, but Lu Fengyao could sit so much closer to the front. Lu Fengyao didn't care. To her, Fairy Linglan and the Gale sect were insignificant. More newcomers arrived, and Lu Fengyao continued to introduce them to Lin Moyu. One by one, everyone who entered was known to Lu Fengyao. The intelligence-gathering ability of the Lu Feng Merchant Guild was indeed terrifying. 2,762,760. Chapter 2760. My friend doesn't want to scare you. Lu Fengyao's introduction was very detailed, and Lin Moyu listened attentively. The information he had purchased also contained details about these people, but compared to Lu Fengyao's introduction, it was not comprehensive enough. Many details about the Lu Feng Merchant Guild were not for sale, and while information is information, people are people. No amount of information could compare to Lu Fengyao's personal introductions. While Lu Fengyao introduced each person, Lin Moyu observed their expressions, movements, and eyes. This allowed him to get more accurate results, and he could even infer the situation of the forces behind them. Each force's heirs had their own characteristics, and while there might be some deviations, they were generally consistent. For example, disciples of the Cold Water Holy Land were mostly cold and arrogant. Disciples of the Heavenly Sword sect often carried a sharp sword aura. More people arrived, but the top 10 seats on both sides remained empty, with only Lu Fengyao seated early. According to Lu Fengyao, those people had big egos and would not arrive early. Lu Fengyao had arrived early partly because of Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu understood and appreciated Lu Fengyao's kindness, keeping it in mind. Finally, a prodigy at the second realm of Tao Sovereign entered the venue. Lu Fengyao's eyes sharpened.
Finally, a main contender has arrived.
The
main contenders
Lu Fengyao referred to were those qualified to compete for the title of the strongest prodigy. Lin Moyu looked at the newcomer's attire.
This person is from the Myriad Scenery Holy Land.
Lu Fengyao said.
His name is Tian Huan, also a holy son of the Myriad Scenery Holy Land.
The myriad scenery Holy Land had more than one holy sun. The title of the strongest prodigy in the previous prodigy gathering was won by the illusory god Holy Sun from the myriad scenery Holy Land. However, this time he was over the age limit and could not participate. Lu Fengyao said,
He ranks just below the illusory god Holy Sun in the myriad scenery Holy Land.
Lin Moyu asked,
I heard that competition for the Holy Master position in the myriad scenery Holy Land is fierce.
Lu Fengyao nodded slightly.
Most forces are like this. After the illusory god Holy Sun won the title of the strongest prodigy, he basically secured his qualification to inherit the position of Holy Master. But some people won't give up. If Tianhuan wins the title of the strongest prodigy this time, he will also qualify to compete with the illusory god Holy Sun for the Holy Master position.
Lin Moyu nodded.
Competition brings motivation, otherwise it would be stagnant.
Lu Fengyao smiled.
You're right, but not entirely. A top force's true strength lies in its foundation. Often, the air is just a figurehead.
In her view, a top force's strength came from its foundation, and the air was often just a spokesperson. In a force, the real decision-maker might not be the one in the spotlight. Tianhuan took his seat at the right third position, very close to the front. Only 5 people ranked higher than him. Behind Tianhuan was a peak heavenly sovereign, very young and powerful, just a step away from becoming a Dao sovereign. If he became a Dao sovereign, he would likely be a prodigy. Lin Moyu guessed that this person was part of Tianhuan's entourage. If Tianhuan won the title of the strongest prodigy, there would undoubtedly be fierce competition within the myriad scenery Holy Land. One by one, more prodigies arrived, each exuding confidence and powerful auras as they entered the venue. Many of the prodigies who had arrived earlier were overshadowed by the newcomers. There were differences even among prodigies. The front seats were gradually filled. Lin Moyu's eyes narrowed slightly.
I didn't expect her to come.
Lu Fengyao followed Lin Moyu's gaze.
The current Holy Son of the Cold Water Holy Land, Gu Bichuan. Do you have a grudge against him?
Lin Moyu shook his head.
It's my first time seeing him. I was referring to the person behind him.
Behind Gu Bichuan was a young woman, only at the low-level heavenly sovereign realm, making her one of the weaker ones present. Lu Fengyao said,
Her name is Gu Nianshui, a direct descendant of the Gu family, but she doesn't practice the Gu family's techniques.
Lin Moyu nodded.
She practices the legacy of the Horned Dragon Star Monarch. It's been years since we last met, and she's already a heavenly sovereign. Her cultivation speed is impressive.
Lu Fengyao's ears twitched slightly, seemingly listening to something. Lin Moyu knew it was Lu Lian providing information about Gu Nianshui. Lu Fengyao said,
In less than 100 years, she advanced from supreme to heavenly sovereign. Such cultivation speed is indeed astonishing. The Cold Water Holy Land likely opened a secret vault for her. The Horned Dragon Star Monarch's legacy requires constant killing to quickly advance. She'll probably head to the battlefield soon, where she can cultivate even faster. If she survives, she'll have a place among the prodigies in the future.
Gu Bichuan took the 9th seat on the left, just 1 seat away from Lu Fengyao. This generation of heirs from the Cold Water Holy Land wasn't as strong, lacking the brilliance of Gu Hanyu's era. After taking his seat, Gu Bichuan looked at Lu Fengyao and smiled.
Long time no see, Fairy Fengyao. I hope you've been well.
They had met at the previous prodigy gathering and knew each other. Lu Fengyao smiled back.
Thank you for your concern, Taoist Bichuan. Do you have any plans for this time?
Gu Bichuan laughed heartily.
My talent is mediocre. I have no plans. I'm just here to show my cousin the world. If not for that, I wouldn't have come.
Though his aura was cold, he spoke warmly. At this moment, Gu Bichuan's gaze fell on Lin Moyu.
Is this Fairy Fengyao's relative?
Lu Fengyao said.
He's my friend.
Gu Bichuan said.
Anyone who can be Fairy Fengyao's friend must be an outstanding talent.
Lin Moyu was shrouded in divine light, so Gu Bichuan could only see his cultivation level but not other information. Lu Fengyao said,
My friend doesn't want to scare you, so he's using the divine light wood.
Gu Bichuan didn't fully believe it but smiled.
I see. Then please don't scare me. I'm quite timid.
Lin Moyu smiled without speaking, not caring about Gu Bichuan. He was more focused on observing Gu Nianshui. He wondered what Gu Nianshui had experienced over the years. She seemed more composed and exuded a faint killing intent, a trait of the horned dragon star monarch's legacy. Gu Nianshui also noticed Lin Moyu. She didn't greet him, only nodding slightly, as if meeting for the first time. Gu Nianshui hid her emotions well, but Lin Moyu's spiritual sense detected her battle intent towards him. It wasn't killing intent but a desire to fight him. Besides that, there was a hint of surprise, as if she hadn't expected to see him here. Boom! The previously calm lake suddenly erupted with a water column shooting into the sky. Within the water column, a lotus flower bloomed brightly. On the lotus flower stood a beautiful woman, ethereal and divine. She was stunningly beautiful, exuding an otherworldly aura. Just by standing there, she captured most people's attention. Lu Fengyao whispered,
The current holy maiden of the ancient Lotus Holy Land, regarded as the most outstanding in 10,000 years.
2761, 2761. Chapter 2761. The first round of the Prodigy Gathering, listening to the Tao. The ancient Lotus Holy Land has a long and ancient history. It can be said to be one of the oldest forces among the major powers in the southern continent. Usually, the ancient Lotus Holy Land is very low-key. Within the Holy Land, women hold supremacy, while men are always excluded from the center of power. The rulers of the ancient Lotus Holy Land have always been women. To them, men are merely tools for reproduction. Lu Fengyao introduced,
Her name is the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus. It is said that when she was born, 10,000 ancient lotuses in the ancient Lotus Holy Land bloomed simultaneously. When she was still in her swaddling clothes, she was placed on the oldest ancient lotus for 30 days, either eating nor drinking, absorbing the essence released by the ancient lotus to survive. She possesses the immortal lotus sacred body, which has an extremely high compatibility with the secret techniques of the ancient Lotus Holy Land. She is the strongest successor of the ancient Lotus Holy Land in nearly 100,000 years.
From the moment she was born, the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus was destined to be the successor of the ancient Lotus Holy Land. Like Lu Fengyao, she received the full support and cultivation of the Holy Land. Now, at less than 9,000 years old, she is already at the second realm of Tao Sovereign. In the last Prodigy Gathering, she narrowly lost to the Holy Son of the Illusory God from the Myriad Scenery Holy Land and did not obtain the title of the strongest prodigy. However, at that time, she was only at the first realm of Tao Sovereign, while the Holy Son of the Illusory God was at the third realm of Tao Sovereign. The gap in their realms was too large. In fact, many prodigies at the second realm of Tao Sovereign were suppressed by her. In this gathering, the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus is already at the second realm of Tao Sovereign. Even if she faces the Holy Son of the Illusory God again, the outcome is unpredictable. The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus is the most powerful contender for the title of the strongest prodigy in this gathering, without a doubt. She arrived alone, without any entourage, stepping on water lotuses to gracefully take her seat at the first position on the left. Her beautiful eyes swept across the venue, and many people avoided her gaze, not daring to meet her eyes. Lu Fengyao said,
How about that? Isn't she beautiful?
Lin Moyu replied,
She's all right, but not as beautiful as you, Sister Fengyao.
Lu Fengyao snorted.
Your flattery is terrible.
Lin Moyu shamelessly said,
I'm just telling the truth.
Lu Fengyao said,
After the gathering, I'll introduce you to her.
Lin Moyu asked,
Sister Fengyao, do you know her?
Lu Fengyao nodded.
I visited the ancient Lotus Holy Land once when I was a child and stayed there for a while.
After the arrival of the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus, the remaining prodigies also appeared. the direct successor of the Three-Spirit sect, Wang Tianling, at the second realm of Dao Sovereign. The current Holy Maiden of the Seven-Star Holy Land, Kai Xia, at the second realm of Dao Sovereign. The successor of the Eastern family of the Broken Sky Domain, Dongfang Wuwen, at the second realm of Dao Sovereign. The successor of the Wu family of Crack Wind Cliff, Wu Xingchen, at the second realm of Dao Sovereign. These people all have the qualifications to compete for the title of the strongest prodigy. However, in Lin Moyu's view, none of them are as strong as the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus. Nearly all the 100 seats were filled, with only one seat left unoccupied. Coincidentally, this seat was ranked 46th on the right, near the bottom. Lin Moyu smiled.
This person has quite an attitude, making so many people wait for him.
Lu Fengyao laughed.
Guess who he is?
Lin Moyu said.
No need to guess, it's the guy who argued with me in the free market.
Lu Fengyao laughed.
Correct, his name is Zhong Ao, the successor of the Zhong family from Ice and Fire City in the southern continent. He is over 9,000 years old, and at the second realm of Dao Sovereign.
As expected, after that day, Lu Fengyao had already gathered all the information about him. The Zhong family of Ice and Fire City is a 6-star force, considered mid-tier among 6-star forces, not particularly strong. However, Zhong Ao lives up to his name, being very proud. Lu Fengyao said.
He has the right to be proud. He was born with the Ice and Fire Dao body, the best physique for practicing the Zhong family's techniques. He practices both the Ice and Fire Dao simultaneously, and both can exert extraordinary combat power. When he was at the Heavenly Sovereign Realm, he could fight across realms. But after reaching the Dao Sovereign Realm, he has no corresponding achievements. Because he practices the Fire Dao, his temper is not very good and sometimes gets out of control.
Practicing both the Ice and Fire Dao simultaneously and sometimes losing control, Lin Moyu felt that he hadn't balanced the two Daos well. As Lu Fengyao spoke, a person finally entered the venue. With each step, ice spread under his left foot, and burn marks appeared under his right foot. Zhong Ao's entrance was grand, but everyone looked at him as if he were a joke. Behind Zhong Ao followed a young woman, only at the Heavenly Sovereign Realm. She was very beautiful and followed closely behind Zhong Ao. Zhong Ao ignored everyone's gaze, walked to his designated seat, which was the only one left unoccupied. He frowned, clearly dissatisfied with his seat, but still sat down. His gaze swept across the prodigies at the second realm of Dao Sovereign, filled with battle intent. However, no one paid attention to his battle intent. To many, Zhong Ao seemed like an idiot living in his own world. Zhong Ao finally noticed Lu Fengyao and Lin Moyu, and his gaze became even more provocative. He didn't seem to understand why he was seated at 46th on the right while Lu Fengyao was at 10th on the left. Such a significant difference. Lin Moyu laughed.
This guy isn't very bright.
Lu Fengyao agreed.
People who practice the Fire Dao often aren't very bright.
After Zhong Ao sat down, all the prodigies were finally present. Lin Moyu's spiritual sense told him that many Dao sovereigns were already observing the prodigy gathering from the sky. A majestic voice rang out, and 10 elders appeared in the sky. No one knew the identities of these elders, but everyone could feel the terrifying pressure emanating from them. The aura of these elders was incredibly powerful, at least at the 7th realm of Dao Sovereign. The elders' aura spread, and the entire venue fell silent. Even the lake surface became still. No one dared to breathe loudly under this oppressive pressure, which came from the soul level. Finally, the elder spoke, breaking the silence.
Everyone is here. The prodigy gathering officially begins. The first round of the gathering, listening to the Tao.
Without further ado, the elder waved his hand, and the 100 seats from left 1 to left 50, and right 1 to right 50, all flew into the air, hovering above the lake. The seats floated 10 meters above the lake. Those accompanying the prodigies, like Lin Moyu, remained in their original seats without any change. The 100 seats above the lake were arranged in the same order, from left 1 to right 50. An invisible force enveloped the lake, preventing any outside noise from entering. No matter how people around the lake talked, it wouldn't affect those listening to the Tao. The elder announced the rules.
Listen to my Tao, comprehend my Tao, use my Tao to resist. The one who lasts the longest wins. Falling into the water means defeat.
The rules were simple. The elder would lecture on the Tao, and the 100 people on the lake would listen. During the lecture, the seats would gradually descend towards the lake. The prodigies had to use the elder's Tao to keep their seats from falling. The one who lasted the longest would be the final winner. Once a seat fell into the lake, the person would be eliminated. Lin Moyu realized that this round tested comprehension. Not only did they have to listen to the elder's lecture, but they also had to comprehend it immediately. If their comprehension wasn't enough, they would fall into the lake and be eliminated. Being eliminated was a minor issue. Losing face was a big deal. No one wanted to be eliminated, at least not the first to be eliminated. The first round didn't compare cultivation levels, which was good news for those ranked lower. The majestic voice rang out again.
Silence, the lecture begins.
2762, 2762. Chapter 2762. The first to comprehend the secret technique. A great Tao appeared in the sky, and 100 strands of invisible force descended accurately upon each prodigy. The invisible force felt like giant hands, pressing them downward. The elder's power was immense. Even though they were prodigies, facing the elder's Tao force made them no different from ordinary people. As the great Tao appeared, the elder began to speak. Mysterious syllables flowed from the elder's mouth, and his form became blurred, merging with the great Tao. At this moment, the voice seemed to come from the great Tao itself. Each syllable contained a special meaning that required individual comprehension. Merely comprehending the meaning wasn't enough. They also needed to master these forces to counter the descending invisible force. At this time, they couldn't use their own power. Otherwise, they would be immediately disqualified. As soon as the lecture began, everyone's chairs started to descend. The descent was slow, moving about every minute. They were 10 meters above the lake, meaning if they couldn't comprehend the elder's Tao, their chairs would fall into the lake in 10 minutes. The 100 prodigies listened attentively, striving to comprehend. Not just the prodigies, but those seated around the lake were also listening. However, the people around the lake heard the Tao much weaker, with less effect. Moreover, those around the lake were not at the Tao sovereign level, making it difficult for them to comprehend the Tao like the prodigies. Lin Moyu closed his eyes to listen. The Tao sounds entered his ears, fragmented and incomprehensible. Not only did he not understand, but the more he listened, the more uncomfortable he felt. Trying to comprehend the Tao from this was impossible. However, the 100 Tao sovereigns on the lake listened intently, clearly hearing something different from what Lin Moyu heard. Lin Moyu sensed something was wrong. Although he wasn't on the lake and was only hearing the echoes, it shouldn't be this bad. Looking around, he saw that others seemed to feel the same way.
Wrong. Listening to the Tao isn't done with the ears but with the soul.
Lin Moyu closed his ears and used his soul to perceive the outside world. Instantly, his soul trembled as the Tao sounds crashed in like a bell. His soul twisted, nearly getting injured. Fortunately, his soul had reached the Tao sovereign realm. Otherwise, this impact would have been unbearable.
This Tao isn't something that can be listened to casually.
Lin Moyu chuckled to himself and began to truly listen to the great Tao. The elder's Tao resonated with the great Tao, forming a unique and profound principle.
Is this a secret technique?
Lin Moyu vaguely sensed that the elder's Tao contained a secret technique, specifically a soul-level secret technique. This secret technique was peculiar. It didn't require full comprehension to use. The deeper the comprehension, the stronger the power that could be exerted. The prodigy's task was to comprehend this secret technique and use it to counter the descending pressure, ensuring they didn't fall into the lake. 5 minutes had passed since the lecture began, and everyone's chairs had descended halfway. In another 5 minutes, they would fall into the lake. Suddenly, the holy maiden of the immortal lotus began to act. A peculiar aura rose from her soul, and her chair stopped descending. Just like that, she stood out from the crowd, taking the lead. The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus was the first to comprehend the secret technique within the Tao, stopping her descent. After successfully using the secret technique, she breathed a sigh of relief, opened her beautiful eyes, and scanned the surroundings, a proud smile forming on her lips. She was the only one who had comprehended the secret technique, looking down on the others. Suddenly, her gaze sharpened as someone else used the secret technique. Lu Fengyao had comprehended the secret technique just a few seconds after the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus, also stopping her descent. At this moment, Lu Fengyao's position was slightly lower than that of the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus. Stopping the descent was just the beginning. It was far from the time to celebrate. Any relaxation could lead to being overtaken by others and ultimately surpassed. This Tao comprehension competition required constant vigilance from start to finish. After the two, more people quickly comprehended the secret technique and stopped their descent. The order of comprehension, except for Lu Fengyao, was mostly as expected, with little deviation. The biggest surprise was Lu Fengyao, who was ranked 10th on the left but was the second to comprehend the secret technique. In a way, Lu Fengyao's comprehension ranked second among the 100. More and more people comprehended the secret technique. The arrogant Zhong Ao was the 33rd to comprehend it, showing decent comprehension. However, he was clearly dissatisfied, realizing he was falling behind. He immediately closed his eyes and focused on comprehending. In the sky, many Tao sovereigns observed the prodigy gathering. Most of these Tao sovereigns were below the third realm, mainly here to watch the excitement and see the current prodigies. Only a few Tao sovereigns had high realms, mostly at the sixth realm. They had come to the Eastern continent after the Eastern Spirit Empire's recent actions and hadn't been pursued by the Empire.
The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus indeed has extraordinary talent. Comprehending the Soul Ascension secret technique is no easy feat. Indeed, even though it's just the basic part of the Soul Ascension secret technique, it's still extraordinary. Even we would need considerable effort to comprehend it. Lu Fengyao's talent is also exceptional. No wonder the Lu family is fully supporting her. Such talent is top tier anywhere. Compared to these two, the others are somewhat lacking. They probably won't last long. Senior Xiaohu's Tao will strengthen at the 10th minute. If they can't comprehend it in time, falling into the lake is inevitable. Regardless, the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus being the first to comprehend is undeniable. The ancient Lotus Holy Land producing such a prodigy is truly enviable.
Among the observers was a Tao sovereign from the ancient Lotus Holy Land, smiling with satisfaction at the Holy Maiden's performance. Taking the lead in the first round seemed to secure the title of the strongest prodigy. At this moment, a figure appeared before them, the one lecturing the prodigies, Senior Xiaohu. Lecturing didn't require his personal presence. A clone was sufficient. He looked at the lake but didn't focus on anyone in particular, instead looking at Lin Moyu.
The first to comprehend the Soul Ascension secret technique wasn't the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus.
His words stunned the observing Tao sovereigns. The heights of the 100 on the lake were clear, with the Holy Maiden at the highest position. If not her, then who? Following Senior Xiaohu's gaze, they saw Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu was floating with his chair, though only half a meter off the ground, he was indeed floating. Someone asked,
Senior Xiaohu, was he the first to comprehend the secret technique?
Senior Xiaohu nodded slightly but said nothing more. His eyes showed curiosity, clearly interested in Lin Moyu. The next second, he pointed a finger, and an invisible force descended upon Lin Moyu. 2763, 2763. Chapter 2763. Not comparable to ordinary prodigies. Lin Moyu suddenly felt an invisible force pressing down on him, causing him to lose control and fall. Almost instinctively, his soul activated a secret technique to counter the force, stabilizing him once again. Lin Moyu focused his mind, continuing to listen to the great Tao and comprehend the secret technique. The actions of Senior Xiaohu were observed by the Dao sovereigns present, who naturally understood what he had done, and they were amazed. One Dao sovereign whispered,
"He blocked it so easily." Being on the edge, the great Tao he hears is already very faint, yet he can still comprehend the soul ascension secret technique. Just how strong is his comprehension? Not only did he comprehend it, but he was also the first to do so. His potential far exceeds that of all the other prodigies.
The Dao sovereigns were full of praise, but the Dao sovereign from the ancient Lotus Holy Land showed a hint of disdain.
Maybe he just got lucky.
At this moment, Senior Xiaohu spoke loudly.
"I would like to request some privileges, if I may."
After a moment, a voice responded,
"Granted."
Senior Xiaohu nodded slightly and pointed his finger again. Originally at the edge of the lake, Lin Moyu was instantly transported to the surface of the lake, positioned at the very back of everyone. He was only 2 meters above the lake, the lowest among all. It was clear that Senior Xiaohu was giving Lin Moyu a chance to listen to the great Tao, which was the privilege he had requested. None of the Tao sovereigns present objected. Regardless of status, position, or realm, Senior Xiaohu was above them all, and they dared not speak against him. Moreover, when Senior Xiaohu asked for the privilege, he sought permission, indicating that the one who granted it was even more formidable. The depth of the Lu Feng Merchant Guild's influence was something these people were somewhat aware of. Senior Xiaohu's methods were so sophisticated that Lin Moyu didn't even realize he had been transported, only that the sound of the great Tao had become several times clearer. His comprehension speed increased significantly. His soul power surged, and his understanding of the soul ascension secret technique deepened rapidly. Comprehending the secret technique required continuous consumption of soul power, but Lin Moyu had no fear of depleting his soul power. As long as the consumption wasn't extreme, the world tree ensured his soul power was inexhaustible. Under these circumstances, he could comprehend until the end of time. However, he knew it wouldn't be that simple. Otherwise, the other prodigies could also last indefinitely. The difficulty would surely increase. By the 8th minute, almost every prodigy had stopped descending, and as their comprehension of the secret technique deepened, they began to rise. The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus rose the fastest, followed closely by Lu Fengyao. In less than a minute, the two had risen several meters, almost back to their original positions. Others were also rising, but not as quickly. Those who were originally ranked lower didn't rise much. Originally at the very bottom, Lin Moyu also began to rise gradually, and by the 8th minute, he had surpassed several of the lowest-ranked prodigies. By the 9th minute, Lin Moyu was more than 5 meters above the lake, placing him in the middle of the group, surpassing dozens of prodigies. At this point, it was clear who had stronger comprehension. At the 10th minute, a muffled thunder sounded from the great Tao, and the descending pressure suddenly intensified. All the rising prodigies stopped simultaneously and began to descend again. The sound of the great Tao became more intense, and the soul ascension secret technique also advanced to a higher level, becoming stronger and more difficult to comprehend. The consumption of soul power increased, requiring more soul power to comprehend the secret technique. Lin Moyu maintained a calm mind, determined to comprehend the secret technique, no matter how difficult it was. He felt that this secret technique was magical and would be very beneficial if fully comprehended. This Tao lecture was not just a test, but also an opportunity. Splash! The sound of water echoed, and by the 13th minute, a prodigy finally fell into the lake. Falling into the lake meant elimination. Waves pushed the eliminated prodigies to the edge of the lake, where they were immobilized and could not leave. They also couldn't speak and could only watch others comprehend the great Tao. The victors floated in the air while the losers fell into the water, creating a stark psychological contrast. The Tao sovereigns in the sky observed without much reaction.
These prodigies usually see themselves as the chosen ones, always arrogant. It's good to humble them a bit. Most of them have had smooth sailing. They need to taste failure occasionally. If they can't handle failure, how can they go further? Their Tao hearts also need tempering.
The Tao sovereigns spoke like seasoned veterans, sharing their insights. Senior Xiaohu remained silent, his attention mostly on Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu stopped descending when he was 2 meters above the lake. He had a new comprehension of the Soul Ascension secret technique, halting his descent. It was only the 14th minute, and even the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus was still descending, having yet to gain new comprehension of the secret technique. By the 15th minute, the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus and Lu Fengyao, one after the other, within 5 seconds of each other, comprehended the stronger Soul Ascension secret technique and stopped descending. The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus opened her eyes and quickly scanned the area, relieved to find she was still in the lead. She also noticed several people had fallen into the lake and been eliminated.
Useless.
The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus showed a hint of disdain, closed her eyes, and continued to comprehend the secret technique. Stopping the descent was far from enough. She needed to enhance the secret technique and turn the descent into ascent. Lu Fengyao didn't open her eyes, focusing solely on comprehending the secret technique. The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus's quick glance missed Lin Moyu. As she stopped descending, Lin Moyu had already begun to rise. However, the previous gap was significant, so Lin Moyu hadn't surpassed her yet. The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus didn't notice, but the Tao sovereigns outside the array saw it clearly.
This young man is remarkable, leading once again. His comprehension is truly enviable. In my life, I've never seen such comprehension. Unfortunately, his realm is not high enough, and his soul power is insufficient. The next rounds won't be as easy. His comprehension is excellent, but he's hindered by his realm. I wonder how old he is. If he's young enough, he might have a place among the prodigies in the future.
Lin Moyu was shrouded in divine light, and the Tao sovereigns couldn't see his age. Only Senior Xiaohu saw clearly.
Less than 2,500 years old, mid-level heavenly sovereign, Tao sovereign level soul, astonishing fortune. Such a person is not comparable to ordinary prodigies. If he could become my disciple.
The more Senior Xiaohu looked, the more satisfied he became, and the thought of taking Lin Moyu as a disciple grew. At this moment, Lin Moyu had a sudden thought.
If I consume the silver tree sap, could it help me comprehend faster? Let's try it. Even if it doesn't work, there's no harm.
Bold in thought and action, Lin Moyu's soul immediately consumed a drop of silver tree sap. 2764, 2764. Chapter 2764. I advise you to think twice. The silver tree sap exploded within his soul, and waves of mysterious power surged in, making his soul incredibly active. The silver tree sap could enhance cultivation speed, and Lin Moyu had already tested it, finding that it could increase his speed by 10 times. The previously obscure and difficult to understand sounds of the Great Tao suddenly became simple and easy to comprehend. His understanding of the secret technique was improving at an astonishing rate. Lin Moyu's rising speed suddenly accelerated, at least twice as fast as before. While others were still descending, he was rising at an incredible speed, quickly widening the gap. By the 17th minute, Lin Moyu's height had already surpassed most of the prodigies, second only to those ranked in the top 20. Splash! Splash! More and more prodigies fell into the water, being eliminated. They were pushed to the shore by an invisible force, unable to move, unable to speak, and could only watch those still floating in the air. They became drenched losers. To those still floating in the air, every one of them was a victor. The faces of the prodigies who had fallen into the water were not looking good. They felt like they were being humiliated. Every second felt like an eternity. They saw Lin Moyu and were filled with disbelief.
Why is a heavenly sovereign here? He's not a prodigy, just a small follower. Why is he listening to the Tao at the center of the lake? What is happening? Am I seeing things? This can't be real. Am I really inferior to a heavenly sovereign? I'm a prodigy, and he's just a small heavenly sovereign. I remember him. He's Lu Fengyao's follower. Did Lu Fengyao give him special privileges? It must be. This is the mall, Lu Fengyao's territory. She must have given him special privileges.
These eliminated prodigies were shouting in their hearts, but they couldn't speak, only exchanging glances. From their eyes, it was clear how agitated they were. Not only were they agitated, but even the Dao sovereigns watching from the sky were unsettled. Lin Moyu's sudden acceleration surprised them.
What happened? Why did his comprehension speed suddenly increase so much? There must be some special method. Did he use some special means? Don't joke. In front of Senior Zayahu, any special means would be useless. Then how do you explain this? Why are you so anxious? If Senior Zayahu isn't worried, why should we be?
The Dao sovereigns looked at Senior Zayahu. His aged face showed no special expression, as calm as ever. The Dao sovereigns felt disappointed. Senior Zayahu's reaction almost confirmed that Lin Moyu's actions were legitimate. Based on the current situation, as long as Lin Moyu could maintain this comprehension speed, he would surpass everyone else in a few minutes and claim the top spot. The only issue now was Lin Moyu's realm. His realm determined that his soul power was insufficient. No matter how fast his comprehension, how strong his understanding, his soul power would be a limitation. Senior Zayahu's heart was not as calm as his appearance.
How did this kid do it? I can't see through him. How strange. What method could accelerate comprehension so much?
Senior Zayahu was very curious. Lin Moyu's sudden increase in comprehension speed was clearly abnormal. But he couldn't see through Lin Moyu's method and had to maintain his dignity, unable to admit he didn't understand. So he chose silence, pretending he understood. At his level and status, dignity was paramount. After studying for a while and still not understanding, Senior Zayahu secretly contacted Lu Lian.
Chief Steward Lu Lian, please ask the third ancestor to take a look for me.
He knew Lu Lian was always present, observing everything, and the third ancestor must also be watching. If he couldn't see through it, perhaps the third ancestor could. The third ancestor's voice soon responded.
I don't understand either. This kid has many secrets. You don't need to understand everything.
Senior Zayahu said,
I want to take him as my disciple. What does the third ancestor think?
Lin Moyu had come with Lu Fengyao, so Senior Zayahu instinctively thought Lin Moyu was part of the guild. If he wanted to take Lin Moyu as a disciple, he naturally had to ask the third ancestor. The third ancestor replied,
His name is Lin Moyu. He is not part of our guild. If you want to take him as a disciple, you can ask him yourself. But I don't recommend taking him as a disciple, and he likely won't agree.
Senior Zayahu's expression showed confusion.
Why?
He didn't understand. With his status, why wouldn't he be qualified to be a master to a heavenly sovereign? The third ancestor said,
He has many entanglements with various people, some of whom you wouldn't want to meet, like the one in Thunder Mountain.
Senior Zayahu was taken aback.
He has a connection with the one in Thunder Mountain?
The third ancestor said,
I don't know the specifics, but there is definitely a connection. He bears that person's mark. He also has a special relationship with the Cold Water Holy Land. Moreover, his fortune is astonishingly strong. If you take him as a disciple, you'll gain fortune but also bear the backlash of his fortune. We've known each other for many years. As an old friend, I advise you to think twice.
The third ancestor, as an old friend, advised Senior Zayahu. At their level, taking a disciple required careful consideration, not just based on talent. Senior Zayahu was silent for a moment before saying,
I understand. Thank you for the advice, third ancestor. But I have one more question. Please ask. What is Fengyao's relationship with him? Are they?
Before he could finish, the third ancestor interrupted.
I don't know. Whatever their relationship, it's a matter of fate. I won't interfere.
His meaning was clear. He wouldn't matchmake or oppose, leaving it to fate. Senior Zayahu knew the third ancestor's character. He had always been like this, believing in fate. After hearing the third ancestor's words, Senior Zayahu had to reconsider whether to persist in his initial idea of taking Lin Moyu as a disciple. The third ancestor's words subtly suggested not to take him as a disciple.
If he has a connection with the one in Thunder Mountain, what is it? He shouldn't be that person's disciple. If he were, the third ancestor would have told me. What exactly is his relationship with the Cold Water Holy Land? Vast fortune, significant entanglements, fortune backlash.
Senior Zayahu thought for a moment and decided,
Forget it. I'll wait until the prodigy gathering ends and see his performance.
He temporarily set aside the idea and continued to oversee the prodigy gathering. Time passed, and some had stabilized their ascent, while more had fallen into the lake, becoming spectators. By the end of the second 10-minute period, more than half of the prodigies had become spectators. 2765. Chapter 2765. Can't let him surpass me, the first place is mine. As the 20th minute arrived, the sound of the great Tao changed once again. Everyone's bodies trembled, and a tremendous force pressed down on them, halting their comprehension. Everyone began to descend again. They needed to comprehend the third level of the Soul Ascension secret technique to counteract this pressure. At this point, fewer than 50 of the original 100 prodigies remained. The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus was still in first place, 9 meters above the lake, giving herself ample time. Lu Fengyao was in second place, slightly lower than the Holy Maiden by half a head, with not much difference between them. The few people behind Lu Fengyao were in a similar situation, each slightly lower than the previous one, but the gaps between them were not large. These people formed the first tier. Almost all of them were at the second realm of Tao Sovereign, with only 2 exceptions. Lu Fengyao, with her astonishing comprehension, was at the first realm of Tao Sovereign but ranked second. She was already impressive, but the most astonishing was Lin Moyu. Among the group of Tao Sovereigns, Lin Moyu, with his mid-level Heavenly Sovereign cultivation, was ranked 10th, advancing steadily. As the third round of listening to the Tao began, the sound of the Tao was like heavenly music, transforming into obscure heavenly words that came rushing in. Listening with the soul and comprehending with the heart, Lin Moyu felt the changes in the Great Tao.
This time, the Great Tao has become even more obscure and difficult to understand, and the consumption of soul power has increased significantly. However, I should still be able to continue comprehending. I'm about to see the true function of this secret technique. I hope it will be useful.
Lin Moyu felt the effects of the secret technique gradually becoming apparent. The first 2 rounds were just appetizers, not yet revealing the true nature of the secret technique. The requirements for the third round were indeed much higher than before. To comprehend it, more soul power was needed. At the same time, the pressure from the sound of the Tao was much stronger than before. Even without deliberately comprehending, just listening to the sound of the Tao would consume a large amount of soul power. This consumption was already too overwhelming for a heavenly sovereign. Groans of pain echoed continuously. Those who had entered with the prodigies, sitting on the chairs by the lake, couldn't withstand the pressure from the sound of the Tao and woke up one after another. Once awakened, they lost the qualification to continue listening to the sound of the Tao. However, none of them had comprehended the Soul Ascension secret technique before, so they didn't suffer any losses. For them, listening to the Tao was just an extraordinary experience. Among the people present, although their realms were not at the Tao Sovereign level, most were intelligent.
It's really a pity. My realm is still too low. Such a good opportunity, and I couldn't understand it. The sound of the Tao is too obscure. That senior's realm is too high. His Tao is beyond our reach. Indeed, the gap is too large. In just this short time, my soul power is nearly exhausted. Hey, why are there so many prodigies falling into the lake? Have they been eliminated?
With these words, the followers noticed that the people in the lake were divided into 2 groups. One group was soaking in the lake water, clearly unable to move, only able to stare blankly. The other group was still floating in mid-air, slowly descending. Splash! Another person fell into the lake, eliminated. In the next few seconds, several more people fell into the lake, joining the ranks of the eliminated. All the eliminated felt unwilling but helpless. Suddenly, someone spoke.
Why is he here? I remember he's not a prodigy like us. Why is he in the center of the lake? I remember him. He's Lu Fengyao's follower. Why is he treated differently from us? Oh my, he's flying so high, even ranked in the top 10.
Many people noticed Lin Moyu. Shrouded in divine light, Lin Moyu stood out among the crowd. Gu Nianshui also saw Lin Moyu, her eyes widening, her mouth opening wide enough to fit an egg.
How did he get to the center of the lake? What did he do? Is it because he comprehended the Tao?
Having interacted with Lin Moyu before, Gu Nianshui knew how formidable he was. Even though she had received the legacy of the Horned Dragon Star Monarch and the full support of the Holy Land, advancing from supreme to heavenly sovereign in less than 100 years, she still felt somewhat unable to compete with Lin Moyu. Seeing Lin Moyu at the Prodigy Gathering, she wanted to compete with him. Her cultivation realm was temporarily inferior, but in terms of comprehension, Gu Nianshui believed she was not inferior to the other prodigies, and certainly not to Lin Moyu. But now, Lin Moyu was in the center of the lake, in mid-air, comprehending the Tao. She was at the edge of the lake, forced out by the Tao. The gap between them was immense.
Oh my, look, he's starting to rise. While others are still descending, he's rising. Could it be that he comprehended it again? Oh my, what kind of comprehension is this? It's terrifying.
Amidst the exclamations, Lin Moyu began to rise. At the 24th minute, while others were still descending, Lin Moyu not only stopped descending but began to rise. In no time, he surpassed 2 people ahead of him, advancing to 8th place. The 2 prodigies he surpassed were both at the second realm of Tao Sovereign. This only indicated that Lin Moyu's comprehension far exceeded theirs. Everyone watched with wide eyes, witnessing this miraculous scene. Watching Lin Moyu surpass one prodigy after another. Another minute passed, and by the 25th minute, the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus and Lu Fengyao stabilized once again, no longer descending. At this moment, Lin Moyu had already reached 5th place with only 4 people ahead of him. The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus, after stabilizing, opened her beautiful eyes as usual to take a look. She found herself still in 1st place and breathed a sigh of relief. But then her eyes widened. In her sight, someone was slowly rising.
This is impossible. How can someone comprehend faster than me?
But in the next moment, she was even more incredulous, her eyes nearly popping out, because this person was merely a heavenly sovereign. Her heart was pounding like a hammer.
Isn't he Lu Fengyao's follower? Why is he here? What is happening?
She watched as Lin Moyu surpassed the 4th place, taking his position, and his rising momentum showed no sign of stopping, heading towards 3rd place. The gaps between the top few were not large, and surpassing the 3rd place wouldn't take long. Next would be the 2nd place and then the 1st place.
No, I can't let him surpass me. The 1st place is mine.
The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus shouted in her heart and immediately began listening to the Tao, comprehending the secret technique. Lu Fengyao also stabilized but didn't look at anyone else, focusing solely on comprehending the secret technique. At the 26th minute, Lin Moyu reached the 3rd place. At this moment, the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus finally comprehended the 3rd level of the Soul Ascension secret technique and began to rise. Lu Fengyao also comprehended it shortly after, starting to rise as well. However, to the onlookers, Lin Moyu's rising speed was slightly faster than theirs, making it only a matter of time before he surpassed them. More people fell into the water, becoming eliminated. The 3rd round saw the most eliminations, and by the end of this round, fewer than 20 people remained in the air. At this moment, Lin Moyu had slightly surpassed Lu Fengyao and appeared to be on par with the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus. 2,766 2766. Chapter 2766. Should be eliminated. A mere heavenly sovereign, who was just a follower, was now keeping pace with the top-ranked prodigy in the first round of the prodigy gathering. Such an event had never occurred in the history of the prodigy gathering and was akin to a miracle. Not everyone was envious of Lin Moyu. Many had already begun to idolize him. To them, Lin Moyu, who was chasing the holy maiden of the immortal lotus, was like a heavenly sovereign defeating Tao sovereigns. Many eyes were filled with excitement.
Surpass her. Surpass her and take first place. Show her that we heavenly sovereigns are not necessarily inferior. Brother, hold on. You must surpass her. I believe you can do it.
Many people cheered for Lin Moyu, but unfortunately, their voices couldn't reach him. Lin Moyu was unaware of this. He was simply comprehending the great Tao. His soul power was being rapidly consumed. If he were an ordinary first-realm heavenly sovereign, his soul power would have been exhausted by now. Fortunately, he had the world tree behind him, continuously replenishing his soul power. As the third round was about to end, Lin Moyu's soul power was still at its peak. The silver tree sap was playing a significant role, allowing Lin Moyu's comprehension speed to surpass everyone else's. Finally, as the third round ended, Lin Moyu had caught up with the holy maiden of the immortal lotus, and they were neck and neck with Lu Fengyao close behind. The 30th minute marked the beginning of a new round. The great Tao evolved by Senior Xiaohu underwent a qualitative change at this moment. The pressure doubled instantly, causing everyone still floating in the air to descend. The sound of people falling into the water echoed continuously as those who had barely managed to hold on to the fourth round fell into the lake one by one. Fewer and fewer people remained in the air. When the last person fell into the water, a force suddenly lifted them, chair and all, back to their original position, preventing them from becoming soaked. Although they were still eliminated, not becoming soaked was a significant difference. They were honorably retreating, not disgracefully failing. The top 10 received different treatment, returning with honor. However, their fate no longer mattered. Apart from their few followers, almost no one paid attention to them. Everyone present, including the prodigies in the lake, focused on the few remaining in the air. Only 5 people remained in the air. Lin Moyu and the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus were neck and neck, with Lu Fengyao just a step behind. These 3 formed the first tier. The other 2 were Dongfang Wuwen, the heir of the Dongfang family from Broken Sky Cliff, and the holy son of the myriad scenery Holy Land, Tian Huan. Both were at the second realm of Tao Sovereign. Dongfang Wuwen had originally been seated at the rightmost position, just below the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus. The holy son of the myriad scenery Holy Land's position was slightly lower, but his performance in this gathering was exceptional, placing him in the top 5. Had it not been for Lin Moyu, he would have been in the top 4. The 2 were only 3 meters above the water surface, and at their current descending speed, they were unlikely to last this round. Compared to the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus and the other 2, they were a tier below. Logically, all 5 deserved attention as the most outstanding prodigies of their generation. However, most eyes were now on Lin Moyu. This heavenly sovereign was creating a legend. In the 4th round, the pressure from the Great Tao doubled, and the sound of the Great Tao became even more obscure. Comprehending the subsequent secret techniques became increasingly difficult. Everyone was descending, and the speed was faster than before. At the 32nd minute, Dongfang Wuwen and the holy son of the myriad scenery Holy Land fell into the water almost simultaneously. As they fell, a force lifted them back to their original seats. They woke up and instinctively looked at each other, feeling a sense of mutual understanding. They also saw the 3 remaining in the air, and their smiles disappeared. Lin Moyu, the heavenly sovereign, was enveloped in divine light, standing like a miracle. The holy son of the myriad scenery Holy Land's pupils contracted. He couldn't believe he had been defeated by a heavenly sovereign. Dongfang Wuwen's reaction was similar. Why Lin Moyu was there no longer mattered. What mattered was that Lin Moyu was there and had surpassed them. At the 33rd minute, Lin Moyu suddenly stopped descending. The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus and Lu Fengyao were still descending, and in an instant, Lin Moyu overtook them, truly taking first place.
He comprehended it. He comprehended it again. Why? How can he keep comprehending? We're all human. Why is there such a gap in comprehension?
Everyone's mouths were agape, eyes fixed on Lin Moyu, especially the eliminated prodigies, who looked at each other in disbelief. In the first round of the prodigy gathering, during the fourth round, at the 33rd minute, Lin Moyu, a heavenly sovereign, surpassed all the Tao sovereign prodigies to take first place. This moment was worth recording. Lin Moyu had created a new history. Countless people would remember that there was once a heavenly sovereign who surpassed all the prodigies of his era. Not only were the prodigies dumbfounded, but the Tao sovereigns were also speechless. In a mysterious place, the third ancestor slapped his thigh and laughed heartily.
Lin, you did it! You really did it! This time, countless people will remember you. You'll be famous across the entire origin continent. If you get the title of the strongest prodigy, I'll become your sworn brother.
Lu Lian's voice interrupted.
Third ancestor, please maintain your dignity.
The third ancestor retorted.
Dignity be damned. This kid has limitless potential. He might even help me in the future.
Lu Lian sighed.
What if he dies?
The third ancestor replied.
He won't die. I can tell. Look at what he's done since arriving on the origin continent. Such a troublemaker won't die easily.
Lu Lian sighed again, feeling speechless. The third ancestor, in his excitement, was acting without restraint. At the 34th minute, Lin Moyu had already surpassed the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus and Lu Fengyao by half a body length, almost a meter. At the 35th minute, he was a full body length ahead, leading by a wide margin. At this moment, Lin Moyu began to rise again, widening the gap further. Simultaneously, the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus finally stopped descending and stabilized in the air. Her delicate face flushed slightly, a sign of soul power consumption.
Finally stabilized.
The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus exhaled and opened her beautiful eyes, looking around. She saw that only Lu Fengyao remained in front of her. Everyone else had disappeared.
That heavenly sovereign is gone. He must have been eliminated.
The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus breathed a sigh of relief. Losing to a heavenly sovereign would have been too embarrassing. Instinctively, she looked down. Most people were in the lake with a few prodigies at the edge. The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus sensed something was wrong. Why were their gazes directed upwards, higher than her?
No way.
A bad thought crossed her mind, and she looked up. A chair, with a heavenly sovereign enveloped in divine light, was 2 meters above her head. At that moment, the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus felt a sense of collapse. She had thought he was eliminated, but he had already surpassed her. From a young age, she had been adored and cultivated by the ancient Lotus Holy Land. But this was the first time she had been so defeated. It wasn't that she couldn't accept losing. She had lost to the Holy Son of the myriad scenery Holy Land 1,000 years ago. That was because her realm was lower 2 realms apart, making the difference in strength significant. But now, she had lost to a heavenly sovereign. What was this? The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus felt a sense of defeat. 2767 2767. Chapter 2767. Looks like my performance isn't bad. Though her heart was collapsing, her Tao heart remained firm. The sense of defeat lasted only a moment before it was erased. The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus felt a buzzing in her soul, and a voice echoed in her soul world.
Even if my comprehension isn't as good as yours, no matter what, you are just a heavenly sovereign. Listening to the Tao isn't just about comprehension, it's also about soul power. You surpassing me momentarily means nothing. The true victor is the one who can endure to the end.
The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus wasn't willing to concede defeat. She could admit that Lin Moyu's comprehension surpassed hers, but in terms of realm, she still held an absolute advantage. Even if Lin Moyu would be more outstanding than her in the future, that was the future, not now. For now, she still wanted to compete with Lin Moyu to see who could last the longest. She began listening to the Tao again, comprehending the secret technique. Lu Fengyao maintained her usual demeanor, a step behind the holy maiden of the immortal lotus. She didn't care about the outside world, not wasting even half a second. Lu Fengyao and the holy maiden of the immortal lotus were both heirs cultivated by their respective top forces. They had similar experiences but different personalities. Lu Fengyao didn't care about others' opinions, focusing only on herself, indifferent to face or reputation. The holy maiden of the immortal lotus, however, cared about her image to some extent. But they shared a common trait, a steadfast Tao heart that was hard to shake. The situation at the center of the lake changed again. Lin Moyu was far ahead, forming a tier of his own. The holy maiden of the immortal lotus and Lu Fengyao followed closely, forming the second tier. To outsiders, it seemed like the holy maiden of the immortal lotus and Lu Fengyao were chasing Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu's ascent was swift, gradually widening the gap between him and the other two. By the end of the fourth round, Lin Moyu was already 12 meters above the lake, surpassing the initial 10-meter height of the prodigies when they started listening to the Tao. This indicated that Lin Moyu's momentum was strong, not only not descending but also surpassing others. The holy maiden of the immortal lotus and Lu Fengyao were still 7 meters above the lake, having descended 3 meters from their initial height. The gap between them and Lin Moyu was also over 3 meters. In fact, the situation of the holy maiden of the immortal lotus and Lu Fengyao was normal. Lin Moyu's performance was abnormal. The entire venue was silent, waiting quietly. At the 40th minute, the fifth round began on time. The power of the great Tao descended like a waterfall, shaking the three of them simultaneously, and the sound of the great Tao changed. The previously obscure and difficult to understand sound of the great Tao didn't intensify. Instead, it began to weaken. Then, one by one, giant runes fell from the great Tao. Their souls sensed these runes, followed by thunderous roars. The sound of the great Tao was hidden within these roars, making comprehension even more difficult. Soul power began to deplete rapidly. The holy maiden of the immortal lotus thought to herself,
"With the increased consumption of soul power, let's see how long you can last."
Unwilling to concede, she fully focused on comprehending the secret technique within the runes. Lu Fengyao frowned slightly. Her realm was only at the first realm of Tao Sovereign, weaker than the holy maiden of the immortal lotus, and so was her soul power. Having already consumed most of her soul power previously, the rapid depletion this time was hard for her to bear. Lin Moyu's soul power was also depleting rapidly, but with the world tree continuously replenishing it, he could still endure. He saw the runes, which were extremely complex, each composed of countless smaller runes. Lin Moyu quickly realized that these runes were evolved from the great Tao. The secret technique was hidden within these runes. After just a few seconds, he fully understood the profound meaning behind them.
The runes are the key. The sound of the great Tao is secondary. Focusing on the runes and comprehending the secret technique through them is more direct and efficient.
In Lin Moyu's view, the runes were the essence. Ignoring the runes and merely listening to the sound of the great Tao would make comprehension much more convoluted. For those who understood runes, focusing on them was straightforward. However, for those who didn't understand runes, listening to the sound of the great Tao was the only option. Both paths were valid, but runes were suitable for a select few, while the sound of the great Tao was suitable for the majority. Lin Moyu decisively chose the path suitable for the few and began studying the runes. The runes were extremely complex, with intertwined smaller runes forming intricate structures. His soul power was depleting rapidly as he tried to decipher the runes. He noticed that many of the runes had been altered in size, with originally larger runes shrunk and smaller runes enlarged, then combined to form the current intricate structure. In some ways, this rune was similar to Tao patterns. Only Tao patterns and his Taiyin symbol could compare to it. The more complex it was, the more it piqued Lin Moyu's interest. He completely blocked out the sound of the great Tao, focusing all his attention on the runes, entering a state of deep concentration. Lin Moyu had a strong talent for runes, easily handling various types. He believed he could also comprehend the runes before him. Time passed, and all three continued to descend. This round was significantly more challenging, and it wasn't until the 47th minute that the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus and Lu Fengyao stabilized. At this point, they were less than a meter above the lake on the verge of elimination. The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus glanced at Lin Moyu, who was still descending. She smiled slightly.
It seems he's reached his limit. His soul power must be insufficient.
She refocused on listening to the Tao and comprehending the secret technique. Lu Fengyao remained the same, not wasting a moment. Lin Moyu continued to descend, the gap between him and the other two rapidly closing. At this rate, by the end of the round, he would be level with them. If the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus made any progress, she might even surpass Lin Moyu. Just half a minute later, the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus began to rise again. Lu Fengyao remained motionless, sweat forming on her forehead, her soul power fluctuating unusually. It was clear that Lu Fengyao's soul power had reached its limit, making it difficult to continue comprehending the secret technique. Maintaining her current height was already a struggle. The gap between the first and second realms of Tao Sovereign was evident at this moment. Lu Fengyao seemed to realize she had reached her limit and finally opened her eyes. Her beautiful eyes showed fatigue as she glanced around.
All eliminated? It seems my performance isn't bad.
Seeing the eliminated prodigies, Lu Fengyao smiled charmingly, satisfied with her performance. From the beginning, she hadn't aimed too high, just doing her best and accepting whatever results she achieved.
What are they looking at?
She noticed others' gazes and looked up. She saw two people above her.
The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus is indeed stronger than me. And this one is Lin Moyu.
Seeing Lin Moyu, Lu Fengyao exclaimed in surprise. 2768, 2768. Chapter 2768. This question should not be asked. Lu Fengyao covered her mouth in shock. She was more surprised than anyone else, but after the initial shock, she felt it was only natural.
Little brother Lin is even more amazing than I thought. Truly outstanding. But why is he still descending? Could it be that, like me, his soul power is insufficient? What a pity.
In Lu Fengyao's eyes, the ultimate limitation for Lin Moyu was his realm. Without a high enough realm, the soul power wouldn't be sufficient, and he would always be at a disadvantage, just like her. As the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus continued to rise and Lin Moyu continued to descend, at the 49th minute, they finally became level again. The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus seemed to sense Lin Moyu and couldn't help but reveal a victorious smile. The onlookers also sighed.
He's still lost. What a pity. There's nothing to pity. This brother is already strong enough. If his realm were higher, the one losing might be the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus. A mid-level heavenly sovereign against the second realm Tao sovereign, the difference in realms is too great to overcome. Anyway, this brother has already made us heavenly sovereigns proud. He will definitely become a prodigy in the future. That's not certain. We don't even know his age. What if he's over the age limit? I don't believe it. He feels very young to me, unbelievably young.
In Lin Moyu's soul world, he was at the final stage of studying the runes. The runes had been completely deconstructed and were now being reassembled. As the runes combined, a secret technique naturally emerged in his mind.
Soul Ascension Secret Technique. So this is called the Soul Ascension Secret Technique. The function of the secret technique is to elevate the soul realm. Although it's only a temporary boost, it's very useful during cultivation. The higher the soul realm, the clearer the understanding of the great Tao, and the faster the cultivation speed.
Lin Moyu finally understood that the Soul Ascension Secret Technique was an auxiliary technique for cultivation. The Soul Ascension Secret Technique, derived from the great Tao of the soul, could temporarily elevate the soul by 3 realms. If it could elevate by 3 realms, the cultivation speed would increase at least 3-fold. For others, this would be the case, but for Lin Moyu, the effect would be even greater. The Soul Ascension's secret technique, combined with the silver tree sap, could produce unimaginable results. Moreover, Lin Moyu could use the Soul Ascension secret technique elsewhere, such as with his origin spell, Power Gathering. Power Gathering was restricted by both the physical body and the soul. At least with the Soul Ascension secret technique, the soul restriction could be relaxed. Most importantly, this secret technique had almost no side effects other than a time limit, making it nearly perfect.
Very nice. It's practically tailor-made for me.
Lin Moyu opened his eyes and found himself just over a meter above the lake's surface. Lu Fengyao was not far ahead, and the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus was already 3 meters higher than him. Lin Moyu wanted to speak, but found he couldn't make a sound. Realizing there were restrictions here, Lu Fengyao gave Lin Moyu a look, as if asking,
How are you? Can you continue?
Lin Moyu understood immediately and nodded slightly, indicating he could. Lu Fengyao gave another look, as if saying,
Then keep going. Surpass her.
Lin Moyu smiled and gave Lu Fengyao a reassuring look. The next second, he activated the secret technique. Previously, the secret techniques he had comprehended from listening to the Great Tao were incomplete versions, only able to exert a small portion of the Soul Ascension secret technique's power. According to the rules, only the Soul Ascension secret technique could counteract the pressure of the Great Tao. The stronger the secret technique used, the faster the speed. This time, Lin Moyu used the complete version of the Soul Ascension secret technique. Although he had only just learned it and wasn't yet proficient, it was still better than the incomplete version. As soon as he activated the secret technique, Lin Moyu felt his body lighten, and he, along with his chair, rapidly ascended.
So fast.
Lu Fengyao watched Lin Moyu ascend and couldn't help but be astonished. Lin Moyu's ascending speed was incredibly fast, almost a meter every 10 seconds, much faster than before. Lin Moyu's action immediately caused an uproar among the onlookers. Those who had previously insisted that Lin Moyu couldn't make it were all slapped in the face. Even the Tao sovereigns in the sky were surprised, having thought Lin Moyu had reached his limit. But even so, Lin Moyu was already considered an extraordinary prodigy in their eyes. It was just that his soul realm was holding him back. If Lin Moyu were at the same realm as the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus, almost everyone believed he could surpass her and take first place in this round. Even the Tao sovereigns from the ancient Lotus Holy Land had to admit that Lin Moyu's comprehension surpassed that of their Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus. However, they never expected that Lin Moyu still had more to give and that his ascending speed was unprecedented. The Tao sovereigns were astonished and looked towards Xiahou Yuan. Only Xiahou Yuan, the host, understood the situation. Xiahou Yuan smiled.
He comprehended the complete Soul Ascension secret technique.
The Tao sovereigns were taken aback. They all knew that the core of this Tao lecture was the Soul Ascension secret technique. Whoever could truly comprehend the Soul Ascension secret technique would undoubtedly be the final victor. Unfortunately, the Soul Ascension secret technique was too difficult. Even for them, comprehending it would take a long time. Comprehending it in just a few dozen minutes seemed impossible. No one expected Lin Moyu to have comprehended it. Someone asked,
Senior Xiahou, how did he comprehend it?
Xiahou Yuan replied,
This question should not be asked.
The person immediately realized their mistake. Indeed, it was inappropriate to ask. No matter how it was comprehended, it was the other party's secret. In the last minute of the 5th round, Lin Moyu ascended with astonishing speed, surpassing the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus once again, taking the lead. As the 6th round began, the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus's ascent temporarily halted, and she began to descend again. She opened her beautiful eyes and saw Lu Fengyao being eliminated, but didn't see Lin Moyu.
Where is he?
The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus had a bad feeling and felt inexplicably uneasy. She looked up and saw Lin Moyu, enveloped in a faint light, already 10 meters above her, an almost unreachable distance.
How is this possible?
The holy maiden of the immortal lotus was completely flustered. It wasn't just the distance that troubled her. She realized she was descending while Lin Moyu was still ascending. Even though the new round had just begun, he was still rising, which defied common sense. Her heart was in complete disarray and she could no longer focus on listening to the great Tao. Even when she touched the lake surface and was lifted away by a force, she couldn't calm down. On the entire lake, only Lin Moyu remained. He sat like an emperor on a dragon throne, looking down on all the prodigies present. The sound of the great Tao ceased, and Xiahou Yuan appeared before Lin Moyu, scrutinizing him. Lin Moyu knew that this senior had brought him to the lake, allowed him to participate in this assessment, and made him the center of attention. Lin Moyu hadn't intended to stand out, but now he couldn't blame this senior. After all, he had just learned the soul ascension secret technique and couldn't possibly blame the one who taught it to him. Xiahou Yuan scrutinized Lin Moyu.
You are quite impressive.
2769, 2769. Chapter 2769. The second round, Heart Demon. Xiahou Yuan scrutinized Lin Moyu.
Little guy, do you know what the greatest reward of this round is?
Lin Moyu answered almost without thinking.
The soul ascension secret technique.
Xiahou Yuan smiled, pleased with Lin Moyu's correct answer.
When did you start to guess?
Xiahou Yuan continued to ask. Lin Moyu didn't avoid the question.
I guessed it from the beginning. Although I didn't know what the secret technique was, I guessed that the greatest reward would be a secret technique from the moment I heard the sound of the great Tao. However, at that time, I didn't have the opportunity to learn and master this secret technique. Thank you, Senior.
Lin Moyu's words were heartfelt and sincere. With Xiahou Yuan's level of cultivation, he could naturally tell that Lin Moyu was speaking the truth. Xiahou Yuan laughed.
If I want you to participate in the subsequent assessments with a special status, would you agree?
Lin Moyu was slightly taken aback and glanced down.
But I'm just a heavenly sovereign.
Xiahou Yuan shook his head.
That's not important. What's important is whether you are willing. You don't need to care about others' opinions. What they think doesn't matter. I only ask you, are you willing?
Lin Moyu didn't think much.
To have the honor of competing with so many prodigies, even if I lose, it would still be my fortune. I am willing.
Xiahou Yuan heard the underlying meaning in Lin Moyu's words. Even if I lose, it doesn't mean I will definitely lose. Although he spoke humbly, he was actually full of confidence in himself. However, not many people could hear this underlying meaning. Most of the prodigies present thought Lin Moyu was admitting he was inferior to them, which slightly improved their opinion of him. Xiahou Yuan waved his hand, and everyone on the lake returned to their original positions in an instant. Their clothes dried in an instant, as if nothing had happened. Lin Moyu also flew back to his original position, still behind Lu Fengyao. Lu Fengyao gave him a thumbs up.
Little brother Lin, you were amazing.
Lin Moyu smiled.
Just lucky.
Lu Fengyao asked.
That soul ascension secret technique, can you teach me?
Lin Moyu replied.
I'll ask the senior later. If he agrees, I have no problem.
Lu Fengyao didn't expect Lin Moyu to agree so readily and smiled.
I was just joking. If I want it, I'll ask Senior Xiahou myself.
Lin Moyu was curious.
You know Senior Xiahou?
Lu Fengyao said.
Of course, I've known Senior Xiahou since I was a child. But Senior Xiahou doesn't like to talk. He probably said more to you just now than he does in a year. Senior Xiahou sees you differently. It seems your performance pleased him greatly.
Lin Moyu nodded slightly and didn't say much. Feeling someone's gaze on him, Lin Moyu turned and met Gu Nianshui's eyes. Their eyes met for a moment before Gu Nianshui quickly turned away. From that brief moment, Lin Moyu sensed the complexity in her eyes. It was a mix of jealousy, slight hatred, unwillingness, and other factors. It was such a complex look that even Lin Moyu couldn't fully understand it. At this moment, Xiahou Yuan's voice rang out.
The first round is over. All results have been recorded. Based on your performance, the seating arrangement will be adjusted. Everyone, stay in your seats and do not move.
The seating arrangement was not fixed. As the prodigy gathering progressed, the seating order would constantly change. In the last prodigy gathering, the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus started in the 10th seat. As the gathering progressed, she continuously improved her position, ending up in 2nd place, just behind the Holy Son of the Illusory God. This time, with the Holy Son of the Illusory God absent, the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus directly took the 1st seat. The seating order followed strict rules, calculated by Lu Lian, and no one could interfere. Beams of light descended from the sky, enveloping everyone. Each beam of light covered 2 seats, one for the prodigy and one for their follower. Only Lu Fengyao and Lin Moyu were different, with 2 beams of light covering them separately. From the conversation between Lin Moyu and Xiahou Yuan earlier, everyone knew that Lin Moyu would also participate in the prodigy gathering. A heavenly sovereign participating in the prodigy gathering was unprecedented and would go down in history. The light lasted for 10 seconds before changing. Everyone's seats shifted without them noticing. Some people's positions improved, while others dropped. Some were happy while others were not. The original 100 seats became 101. Lin Moyu was placed in the 51st seat on the left, the last position. Although it was the last position, Lin Moyu had no complaints. Participating in the prodigy gathering as a heavenly sovereign and competing with Dao sovereigns was already groundbreaking. Lu Fengyao's position changed due to her excellent performance in the 1st round, moving to the 6th seat on the left, 11th overall. The Holy Son of the Myriad Scenery Holy Land moved from the 3rd seat on the right to the 2nd, 4th overall. Dongfang Wuen's position remained unchanged at the 1st seat on the right. The Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus also remained in the 1st seat on the left, maintaining her 2nd position overall. Other positions changed slightly, but not significantly. Further changes would depend on the upcoming performances. Xiahou Yuan's voice rang out.
The 2nd round, Hard Demon.
As he spoke, the lake water surged, and water spheres flew out, landing in front of each person. Each prodigy had 2 water spheres, no more, no less.
Everyone, hold the water spheres and do not break them. If both spheres break, you are eliminated.
The rules were simple. Everyone held their water spheres, which were very soft and would break with the slightest force. Even a baby could break them. Everyone carefully held the water spheres in their palms, not daring to use any force. This effectively immobilized them in their seats. Any slight movement could break the water spheres. The spheres were so soft that even the gentlest force could break them. Xiahou Yuan chuckled.
The 2nd round begins.
A hazy great Tao appeared, and the entire venue darkened, enveloped in an indescribable light, exuding a sinister aura. Xiahou Yuan disappeared, leaving only the hazy great Tao. The great Tao descended slowly, bringing an indescribable pressure as it drew closer to everyone. The pressure from the great Tao pressed everyone into their chairs, making them feel as if they would be crushed in the next moment. The chairs creaked under the pressure, seemingly on the verge of collapse. The great Tao drew closer, and some instinctively wanted to struggle, their hands instinctively wanting to exert force. But they quickly regained clarity and stopped themselves. The great Tao ultimately didn't touch them but fell into the lake. The calm lake water suddenly boiled, like cold water poured into hot oil, creating towering waves. The waves transformed into fierce giants wielding weapons, charging at everyone. To resist or not to resist. All the prodigies were resolute, and the scene before them wasn't enough to shake their Tao hearts.
Illusions, all illusions. Ignore them, ignore them.
The prodigies told themselves similar things, and no one moved, nor did any water spheres break. 2,772,770. Chapter 2770. Does he have no inner demons? The weapons in the hands of the giant figures fell upon the prodigies, but the prodigies remained motionless. taking the blows head-on. The weapons turned into flowing water upon impact, dissipating instantly without causing any harm. The water then silently seeped into the prodigies' bodies, directly entering their souls. The prodigies closed their eyes, their consciousness sinking into their souls, as if entering another world. The second round had truly begun, and this round's theme was inner demons, not something easily overcome. To outsiders, including Lin Moyu, the scene was different. There was no great Tao, no lake giants. After Xiahou Yuan announced the start of the second round, he merely pressed his palm lightly downward, causing all the prodigies to simultaneously fall into a deep sleep. The entire venue became eerily silent. Some instinctively wanted to speak but found they couldn't make a sound. Not only could they not speak, but they also couldn't move, forced to watch helplessly. The prodigies' expressions varied, their bodies sometimes tensing and sometimes relaxing. Powerful auras occasionally surged and then subsided, as if each person was experiencing different scenarios. The Tao sovereigns observing from outside the array could see more information.
By my calculations, the first round should be over. No one has been eliminated. Their mental states seem decent. The first round is the simplest, merely letting them feel some external pressure, not true inner demons. Indeed, if they can't pass this round, their mental state must be terrible. Such a Tao heart doesn't qualify as a prodigy. The next round is the hard one. Inner demons force each person to face what they least want to confront. I'm curious who will last until the end and what these prodigies' deepest fears are.
Lin Moyu also saw the great Tao descend and the lake giants attacking him, but he immediately recognized it as an illusion and remained unmoved. He had experienced many illusions. This level of illusion was negligible. As the lake water invaded his body, his vision blurred, and scenes began to unfold. It was a battlefield, seemingly in the starry sky, with countless stars twinkling. Lin Moyu felt this starry sky was somewhat unfamiliar, as if he had never seen it before.
Is my inner demon a battlefield? This environment feels unfamiliar, not like the starry sky of the great world. An inner demon should be based on my memories. Why is it showing me an unfamiliar place?
An inner demon was a type of illusion, different from ordinary illusions. If one became trapped in the world of inner demons and couldn't escape, they might be lost in it forever. Lin Moyu knew that Senior Xiahou wouldn't let such a thing happen. He must have a way to pull people out of the inner demon world.
Senior Xiahou's great Tao seems related to the soul. Could it be the great Tao of the soul?
As Lin Moyu observed the inner demon world, he pondered these questions. If the other prodigies knew he was thinking about such things while facing his inner demons, they would be astounded. The inner demon world was quiet, seemingly empty. However, Lin Moyu noticed the starry sky was rapidly approaching, indicating he was moving at an incredible speed. Comparing this to the starry sky of the great world, he judged that his speed had surpassed the speed of light. Yet, there was no distortion of time and space. Everything remained calm, which was very strange. Approaching the speed of light should cause changes in time and space, but nothing seemed to be happening. Lin Moyu felt something was wrong. He had seen this starry sky before many years ago when he was still weak, and his spells were called skills. When he awakened his skills, he had seen this starry sky. It was in the
Origin Secret Realm,
where thousands of invincible powerhouses were killed by an old man in a green robe riding a green ox with a flick of his finger. The old man recited the Tao Te Ching, paving a path to immortality with the bodies of these invincible powerhouses. At that time, Lin Moyu was terrified and left with a deep impression of the old man. Later, he met the old man several more times, and the once respected elder became a mischievous old man. Whenever he thought of it, Lin Moyu couldn't help but curse him in his heart. Thinking back, there were few things in his cultivation journey that truly frightened him. This event barely counted as one. Other than that, he couldn't recall anything else.
Turns out, I have quite a bit of courage. Truly, ignorance is bliss.
Now, as the inner demon world recreated this unfamiliar starry sky, Lin Moyu found it somewhat amusing. After all, it wasn't something that happened to him, just scenes he had witnessed. And those invincible powerhouses, along with the mischievous old man, could the inner demon really recreate them? Or could Senior Xiaoho's great Tao recreate them? Lin Moyu couldn't help but speculate. If his guess was correct, there was no point in continuing. It couldn't be recreated. Lin Moyu did nothing, just watched quietly, as he had done back then, observing the spectacle. The process reached the moment when the invincible powerhouses appeared, and the inner demon began to recreate these beings based on Lin Moyu's memories. One by one, the invincible powerhouses appeared, their forms becoming clearer from the initial blur. Boom! 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 The invincible powerhouses exploded one by one, failing to be recreated by the inner demon. They were beyond the inner demon's ability to recreate. Lin Moyu recalled that each invincible powerhouse had a great Tao under their feet. In terms of realm, each of these invincible powerhouses should have surpassed the 9th realm of Tao Sovereign, far beyond the inner demon's capabilities. As for the mischievous old man, it was even more impossible to recreate him. The invincible powerhouses exploded before fully forming, causing the inner demon world to collapse. Lin Moyu didn't move throughout, just watching a show. When he opened his eyes, he saw the other prodigies, each with their eyes closed, their auras surging, and their brows sometimes relaxed, sometimes furrowed, as they battled their inner demons. Feeling bored, Lin Moyu looked around, appearing somewhat restless. His movements caught the attention of many, but no one could speak, only watch and speculate in their hearts.
Why is he awake? Isn't he supposed to face his inner demons? Why isn't he? Did he break through the inner demon's barrier? Could it be that he has no inner demons? Impossible. Indeed, it seems unlikely. He must have used some method to break through the inner demon. Could his Tao heart be so strong that even inner demons can't invade?
The Tao sovereigns in the sky were buzzing with discussions, each with their own opinions. Finally, Xiahou Yuan couldn't hold back and shouted,
Silence!
2771, 2771. Chapter 2771. This guy is a freak. Among those present, only Xiahou Yuan knew the real situation. The real situation was completely different from what others were discussing. It wasn't the same thing at all. Xiahou Yuan heard the voice of the third ancestor in his ear.
Does he really have no inner demons?
The third ancestor had been watching the prodigy gathering and was equally curious about how Lin Moyu could wake up so quickly. Xiahou Yuan replied,
This kid does have inner demons, but my great Tao isn't enough to manifest his inner demons. It collapsed halfway through the manifestation, so he woke up.
The third ancestor was silent for a few seconds.
Even your great Tao can't manifest it. Why don't you try again and see if there's anything else?
Xiahou Yuan said,
I have the same idea.
As he spoke, he glanced at Lin Moyu, and the lake water exploded again, transforming into a water dragon that charged at Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu remained motionless, letting the water dragon strike him.
So there's a second round.
Lin Moyu thought to himself. He found it strange that the first round was so easy for him to pass, and now he understood there was a second round waiting for him. Another illusion appeared before his eyes as Xiahou Yuan used his great Tao to manifest another inner demon world. This time, it still searched Lin Moyu's deepest memories for something he had once feared. However, Lin Moyu had very few fearful memories, and the inner demon world struggled to form a coherent scene. Lin Moyu was momentarily stunned and blurted out,
Isn't this the Origin Secret Realm?
Twice in a row, it was related to the Origin Secret Realm. Lin Moyu couldn't help but wonder if he had such a deep obsession with the Origin Secret Realm in his heart. He saw a familiar scene again, the blood-crying bird with the Origin bloodline. The Origin bird was a pitiful creature, burdened with the Origin bloodline, destined for a difficult fate. Countless powerful beings sought to hunt it for its bloodline. The Origin bloodline was like an infinite source of power, coveted by strong beings of all realms. Lin Moyu knew that the origin bird he saw in the Origin secret realm wasn't the real origin bird. It was manifested by some force. It should also be related to the green-robed old man, but the sight of the green-robed old man was still terrifyingly powerful. Lin Moyu didn't know what kind of beings were qualified to hunt the origin bird, but he was sure they were beyond Dao sovereigns. He had seen Dao sovereigns from the weakest first realm to the strongest ninth realm, and none were sufficient to hunt the origin bird. This showed that the origin bird was far more powerful than Dao sovereigns. When he first saw the origin bird, he was indeed shocked and terrified. That was one of the few scenes that could be described as fear. The inner demon tried to manifest the origin bird, but it was too much. As expected, the inner demon collapsed halfway through the manifestation, taking the entire inner demon world with it. Lin Moyu once again did nothing and passed another round. He woke up for the second time, looking around with some helplessness. Many prodigies seemed to be in bad shape, trembling uncontrollably, their hands seemingly ready to exert force at any moment. The Dao sovereigns in the sky and the followers on the ground were all stunned, not knowing what to say as they watched Lin Moyu wake up for the second time. The voice of the third ancestor reached Xiahou Yuan's ears again.
What happened this time?
Xiahou Yuan replied with some helplessness.
Same as before. His second memory is equally powerful, and my inner demon can manifest it.
The third ancestor gritted his teeth.
What has this kid experienced? Why are all his memories so powerful? Can you try again?
Xiahou Yuan nodded.
I'll give it another try.
The lake water surged towards Lin Moyu for the third time, and Lin Moyu accepted it calmly. Another inner demon world appeared before his eyes.
The other shore?
Lin Moyu was momentarily stunned. He had arrived at the world of the other shore, a place that could only be seen after crossing the other shore. Due to some special reasons, he had seen it for a bit longer than other cultivators, who only got a fleeting glimpse. Lin Moyu smiled wryly.
This inner demon is a bit foolish. This world isn't something it can manifest. And I wasn't afraid of this world. I was just in awe.
Lin Moyu felt helpless with this inner demon. Why did it keep trying to manifest things that couldn't be manifested? In the inner demon world, a leaking gourd gradually formed, only to explode with a bang before fully forming. This time, it couldn't even form an outline. In just 10 seconds, Lin Moyu woke up for the third time. He had done nothing and passed another round. Before the third ancestor could ask, Xiahou Yuan spoke first.
This time was even more terrifying. It collapsed faster than the previous 2 times.
Xiahou Yuan didn't want to try again. He feared that if he continued, he might develop inner demons himself. The third ancestor was silent for a moment before saying,
This kid has too many secrets. Think carefully about whether you want to take him as a disciple.
Xiahou Yuan nodded slightly, muttering to himself,
This kid is a freak.
After breaking through the inner demon world 3 times, Lin Moyu was still the first to wake up. He looked around, bored, and after a few minutes, finally saw someone who couldn't hold on. It was the prodigy ranked 88th. He suddenly opened his eyes wide and shouted angrily,
I'll kill you!
He crushed the 2 water spheres in his hands. As the water spheres burst, the water splashed onto his face. He immediately woke up, stunned.
What happened?
The inner demon disappeared, and he hadn't yet realized what had happened. An invisible force lifted him from his chair and placed him in the lake. Just like in the first round, he became a drenched loser, unable to speak or move in the lake. This was the punishment for being eliminated. Then, more people woke up from the inner demon world, simultaneously crushing the 2 water spheres in their hands. Only they knew what they had experienced, but their expressions showed it wasn't pleasant. Inner demons always attacked the weakest memories, often the most terrifying ones. Everyone present knew that the first place in this round had already been taken by Lin Moyu. This heavenly sovereign was too peculiar, breaking through the inner demon world 3 times in a row, each time faster than the last. Even if someone else could break through the inner demon world 3 times, they had already lost to Lin Moyu in terms of speed. Except for his lower realm, his comprehension and Tao heart surpassed all the prodigies present. Such a person would undoubtedly achieve great things in the future. Gu Nianxue looked at Lin Moyu with a complex expression, feeling that her plans for revenge would have to be postponed indefinitely. She even wondered if she would ever have the chance for revenge. Even if she became a star monarch, by then, who knew how much Lin Moyu would have grown? Lin Moyu's future was unimaginable. Gu Nianxue even had a thought.
Should I try to reconcile with him? Maybe I could bring a friend to the Holy Land.
But she felt unwilling. Her competitive nature from childhood made her very unwilling. Lin Moyu sensed Gu Nianxue's gaze again, still as complex as before, leaving him unsure of what she was thinking. 2772, 2772. Chapter 2772. Why didn't she have a third round? Water spheres kept shattering. What happened in the world of inner demons was known only to each individual. Outsiders could not perceive it. Each prodigy who woke up from the inner demon world was eliminated and thrown to the lakeside, receiving the same treatment as in the previous round. Having experienced it once, these prodigies had thicker skins. Falling into the lake a second time didn't bother them much. They even exchanged glances and greetings while in the lake.
After all, it's not just me being embarrassed. There are so many others with me.
This round was not timed. It was based on whether one could overcome their inner demons. No matter how long it took, if one couldn't overcome their inner demons, they would still be considered a failure. Inner demons were difficult to overcome, and more prodigies were being eliminated. Finally, a prodigy ranked 31st woke up with a low shout. One of the water spheres in his hand shattered, but fortunately, the other remained intact. He stood there, stunned, not yet fully recovered from the inner demon world. However, he was not thrown into the lake, indicating he was not eliminated. Realizing this, he smiled victoriously. Lin Moyu observed this and felt something was off.
I've gone through 3 rounds, and he only went through 1. It can't be that easy.
Sure enough, before he could celebrate for more than 2 seconds, a water dragon rose from the lake and struck him.
There's more.
Before he could finish speaking, he was pulled back into the inner demon world. Lin Moyu smiled.
Now that's fair. If I had to go through 3 rounds, why should others only go through 1? At least 2 rounds are needed for fairness.
Finally, someone noticed Lin Moyu, who was sitting there motionless, fully awake, with both water spheres intact. However, the eliminated prodigies in the lake couldn't speak or ask questions. They could only look at him. Another prodigy woke up. This time, it was the Holy Maiden of the Immortal Lotus. A second later, Lu Fengyao also woke up. Then, Dongfang Wuan, the Holy Son of the Myriad Scenery Holy Land, Gu Bichuan, the Holy Maiden of the 7-Star Holy Land, Kai Xia, and Wu Xingchen all woke up one after another. The top 10 ranked prodigies woke up almost simultaneously, with a time difference of no more than 10 seconds. Moreover, none of their water spheres were broken, indicating their Tao hearts were strong enough to overcome their inner demons. Soon, the second round began. Water dragons rose from the lake, striking them and pulling them back into the inner demon world. The second round of inner demons was much harder than the first, as evident from their expressions showing much greater pressure. With nothing to do, Lin Moyu began to sense Xiahou Yuan's great Tao. The entire venue was filled with the power of Xiahou Yuan's great Tao. Lin Moyu deeply felt that Xiahou Yuan's great Tao was closely related to the soul, likely the great Tao of the soul. Lin Moyu thought of the soul heavenly sovereign in the great world, who also followed the great Tao of the soul, though it was derived from the great Tao of the soul in the origin continent. In theory, Xiahou Yuan's abilities should far surpass those of the soul heavenly sovereign in the great world. Unable to find the soul heavenly sovereign, seeking Xiahou Yuan might be a good alternative. Lin Moyu hadn't forgotten about Lillian. He had promised her to help her people reappear in the world.
Perhaps this is an opportunity. But to make Senior Xiahou willing to help me, I must demonstrate enough capability.
He noticed that Xiahou Yuan viewed him differently from others, so he needed to increase his stakes. Lin Moyu roughly understood what those high and mighty figures truly pursued. Power and influence were no longer their primary goals. They sought higher realms, greater power, and ultimately immortality. Having experienced longevity, they now desired eternal life. To achieve eternal life, one must surpass the Tao sovereign realm and become a different kind of existence. Lin Moyu began to think about what he could offer them and how he could help them. After much contemplation, he realized he had little to offer. Only his own potential might be of some use.
Ultimately, it's about fortune. The third ancestor befriended me likely due to fortune. After learning I am the son of Taiyin, the third ancestor's attitude changed slightly, though not significantly. To gain fortune, it's not always about fighting. Making friends is also a good method.
Lin Moyu's thoughts were complex and multifaceted at this moment. If the third ancestor knew what Lin Moyu was thinking, he might call him a cunning fox.
Bastard!
Screams echoed as more people woke up from the inner demon world, but most failed to overcome their inner demons and became losers. A few barely overcame their inner demons, breaking only one water sphere. So far, only the top 10 ranked prodigies had fully overcome their inner demons without breaking any water spheres. Those who barely passed the first round quickly faced the second round of challenges. Lin Moyu knew they would struggle to pass the second round. Bang! A water sphere shattered, followed by a long exhale. The holy maiden of the immortal lotus woke up from the second round of inner demons. One water sphere in her left hand was broken, but the one in her right hand remained intact. She felt a bit relieved, having kept one sphere intact and not being eliminated. She still exuded a faint killing intent, clearly not fully recovered from the inner demon world. Her eyes showed vigilance, seemingly preparing for a third round of inner demons. But after a moment, no third round came. Lin Moyu was puzzled.
Why didn't she have a third round?
He had gone through 3 rounds of inner demons, but the holy maiden of the immortal lotus only went through 2. Lin Moyu chuckled to himself.
Is this also a special treatment for me?
Bang! 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 Water spheres shattered as Lu Fengyao, Dong Fengwuan, and others woke up one after another. Their results were the same as the holy maiden of the immortal lotus, each breaking only one water sphere, with the other intact. They also didn't face a third round, ending this test peacefully. They breathed a sigh of relief, exchanging glances and congratulations. The holy maiden of the immortal lotus looked at Lin Moyu, frowning. Lin Moyu remained awake, with both water spheres intact, different from everyone else. He seemed to have been waiting for a while. She didn't know what had happened to Lin Moyu, feeling very puzzled. Lu Fengyao also looked at Lin Moyu with a questioning gaze. Lin Moyu could only shrug slightly, not daring to make any big movements for fear of breaking his water spheres. As more water spheres shattered, more prodigies were eliminated. The second round was clearly harder than the first. In the end, only the top 10 ranked prodigies and the unique Lin Moyu passed the second round, while the rest were thrown into the lake. Xiahou Yuan's voice rang out.
Everyone will proceed to the third round. The third round will have everyone face the same illusion, and the winner will be determined by who breaks through the illusion the fastest.
2773, 2773.